What's going on, ladies, gentlemen, fellow mutants? We are back with another episode of three, no, two brothers, and a,
We're still three brothers. Though.
what is happening right now?
Jack is behind the traditional architecture of Japan.
I'm hiding out.
We're back. We're here talking comic books, video games, anime, and just a whole bunch of geek stuff. All right. Here with my brother Chris, my white brother Milk, Jack. And then myself, Rich, the critical one. Thank you. Hold on, wait a second.
Rich has too much power when he hosts.
I have too much power.
No, we gave them to him.
No, you didn't give me a hey, you didn't give me nothing.
He kind of took them.
All right. But yeah, we're here talking about what are we talking about? We're talking about
Fallout.
Amazon's release of Fallout and other stuff as well. So thank you for joining us, fellas. What's going on? How's your week? How's your day? How's everything? How's life treating you?
Yeah, it's good. I've been reading Undiscovered Country. I'm on volume 3 now, so I'm digging it.
What's that?
What
We
else?
talked about that last week.
Yeah. I ordered more.
Okay.
I've been opening a bunch of my toys, going through my toys. I found some obscure ones. I'll show it during Collector's Corner, and then just work. We're working on the vet. That's about it.
I've got a leak going on. It's raining here in California.
Doesn't it not rain in California? Wasn't that the thing that they talked about in Entourage? That the weather was fantastic in Cali?
Yeah, well, it's shifted. It rains a lot. It's more like Washington State weather now. It's like it rains a lot. And the problem with a place that never gets rain and then it suddenly starts raining a lot, it exploits all the problems with roofs in this country, in this state, rather. And there have been a lot of leaks in California, apparently. So my office is one of them. That's why I've changed the orientation of the camera today, because I can't sit right there because there's 3 buckets.
Oh, shoot.
You probably hear them in the background from time to time. It just kind of stopped raining, so hopefully it's not too bad.
Importantly, are the comics okay?
They are, but it's dangerously close to a bookshelf. Don't worry, Mom. I'm okay. and I have moved the toys and anything of value I've moved. So
okay, good. That's what we'll make sure.
And that's basically been my week.
Yeah, I mean, what have y'all been watching? Anything?
Well, I watched Fallout. I started watching the series just dropped on Netflix. Not even adjacent to our kind of content. It's about a prison experiment where they
the jail one. I watched episode 1 and 2 of that too.
Yeah, and so the reason I was kind of drawn to it is I had written a prison script about juveniles, growing up in prison and stuff like that, and so I spent, a good year and a half just doing a deep dive of really kind of depressing research and facts. The more I knew, the more I was like, I couldn't believe what I was finding out about how the system kind of works, and I won't get into it. So I was kind of intrigued by the content, so I checked that out. Otherwise, I haven't been able to do much gaming. I have worked a lot this week. I didn't work much last week. I worked a lot this week.
Okay.
And that's kind of been my week, I guess.
All right.
How you, Rick?
Pay them bills. Oh yeah. I've been doing much, just chilling. Been playing Dragon's Dogma 2, which kind of have a love-hate relationship with the game. And I get why they're doing some of the things they do. Like they put you on the map and they kind of don't tell you much of anything except for maybe like the main quest. Like you have to go out there and explore the towns and cities to kind of find a side quest. You don't have markers anywhere to kind of let you know, like, hey, talk to me. So you kind of have to go out there and talk to every NPC to find where the side quests are, which is kind of annoying. But when you start playing the game, the fighting and everything is pretty dope. I hate the fact that there's no like dodge except for like a certain class and certain aspects there. But I just can't stop fighting. Like I can't stop climbing on top of these monsters, pause, and stabbing the hell out of them. Be honest with you, like it's fun, and some of them is just great. Like you could like chuck dudes depending on whatever skill that you use. It's fun. It's fun, and then also it can be annoying because you can also be chucked. You can also
Well,
be.
how did you feel about Dogma 1?
Dogma 1, it was kind of the same. It's been a while since I played Dogma 1 too, but I kind of felt the same about that as well. But I
See,
feel
I
like
did too. I was real into Dragon Age, and then when Dragon Dogma came out, I was like, meh.
yeah, Dragon Age was it was more, I would say, fleshed out. No, it was more fleshed out. No, you knew where to go, you knew who to talk to, and yeah, the Dragon's Dogma. The best thing about Dragon's Dogma is fighting the monsters, especially the big monsters. You're climbing on them and stabbing them up, and bringing them down to submission. And then also the best part is also the worst things that can happen to you, like being picked up by a troll and thrown off a cliff. That could end your whole adventure right there.
Yeah,
But yeah, but other than that, it's an alright game. Like I say, I have a love hate, and I'm leaning more to loving it. But what I've been watching, Fallout. I watched. Well, not started watching. I watched Exorcist, The Believer.
How was that?
It was alright.
Yeah.
Stuff like that don't shock me anymore. Deepwater Horizon, which man,
Oh yeah. I saw that in theaters.
that is wild. That's a wild time. Of course, Delicious in Dungeon, GTO, Great Teacher Onizuko.
Oh,
That's problematic, but it's also great. Files of the Unexplained, also kind of not adjacent to what we're watching, but I was on Netflix. And then what else? Foundation. I started watching that. Not too sure how I like it though. I like the sci-fi aspect of it, but I'm just like, what are we doing here? What are we really trying to do? But anyway, that's been my week.
I remember one thing I watched.
What was that?
And it was phenomenal. It was so good, I can't believe I forgot to mention it. But we can't talk about it.
Okay.
X-Men.
Oh my goodness.
Episode 5.
Oh my goodness.
What in the world?
Oh,
anyone not watching X-Men right now? X-Men 97, 97, X-Men 97. What are you doing with your life? If this is your content, then that is your content, and I don't believe you're not caught up. If you're not caught up with X-Men,
it goes from ace of base to a hard left turn, and then
yo,
base.
it was easily the best thing I've watched. That episode was so good, Chris.
So good.
All right, so
I texted everyone. After I texted you guys, I texted my other cousins. I just needed something to talk to about it because it was such a bad.
Like I almost feel like, I mean, Fallout was good, and it does deserve to be talked about. But we should be talking about X-Men. Is what I want to.
I mean, we talked about X-Men last week. I mean, oh my goodness,
you could do it next week.
Yeah,
probably should. I mean, all right. Anyway, so I did that too. X-Men was definitely the highlight of the week.
Yeah. Be honest with you, I've been preparing for everything. One thing I forgot to prepare was the joke.
Well, then if you don't have a joke prepared, you know what to do, Rich.
Oh, jeez. Chris, ask the Overlord about the joke, please.
All right. Hey, Alexa, tell me a video game joke.
Why did the frog cross the road?
Why?
To get to the other. Look out. Kersplat. Oh, boy.
that was actually kind of good.
That's a little dark for Alexa. Okay. I see what you did there.
Okay. All right, I appreciate that. See,
She put all right, Alexa. She kind of delivered on that joke, didn't she?
She did. She really did. Yeah. Oh, okay, Alexa. All right.
The bar is set so low at this point.
I mean, that's true too. All right. Well, anyway, I guess we're gonna take a right at the left in the corner at the light with the left and blow all traffic. I don't know what I'm saying. But yo, it's Collector's Corner.
It's show and tell time.
Here in the Collector's Corner, we pull up anything that is sentimental, maybe expensive in Jack's case, or they just make it in their 3D printer in Chris's case. Or they just bought it off the shelf and, they were lazy about it, like in my case. So, gentlemen, what do you have?
So I'll go first. I found I've been opening. You guys see my I've showed my closet before. You guys know I have. I bought a ton of figures.
Yeah, we've been in your closet.
A bunch of them. And I put up a bunch of shelves. I started opening them, guys. And I found a really, really obscure figure that I never opened, but it's about to get opened. You guys remember Batman Beyond?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember Ink?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So this is Ink as Batman.
Oh, so, when she took over the suit?
No, she pretended to be Batman for like it was in one episode where she returned for like a hot 30 seconds to lure someone in, and she pretended to be Batman. I think she was pretending to be Batman to lure Bruce Wayne in. And then she lured him in, and she was only this for like literally like not even 30 seconds in the show, and they made a figure about it. So this is Ink as Batman Beyond, and it's a Batman Beyond figure, but instead of the bats and stuff being red, they're purple.
Interesting.
Which is kind of it's just a weird, obscure figure. Like for a scene that only lasted so short, they made a figure about it. You know what
McFarlane.
That's exactly.
But there was definitely a scene where she took over the suit, right? Did I make that up?
She was on the suit. She was a scene where she was on the Batmobile, and there was, but when she actually pretended to be Batman, it was like a quick thing. You know what McFarlane did? McFarlane was like, "How can we jerk these guys for more money?
Yeah.
Let's just
how do we use that figure we already have with minimal changes? Purple, got it. Repackaged, $20. Someone like Chris is gonna buy it.
Yep.
They made that figure for you, Chris.
They did make this figure for me, and this is it. So
remember that scene that no one remembers? So yeah.
That's exactly it.
Let's make that one.
All right. ETC in the house.
Everybody's got new Playmate Star Trek figures and accessories. I'm not gonna lie to you, ETC. I'm not a big Star Trek guy. My friend Steven Rower is a huge Star Trek fan, but me, not so much.
Yeah, I haven't had.
I have not been collecting the new figures either. No.
Yeah,
I have some older figures I should show off at some point, though.
I mean, do it. I should have. I had some up in New York. I had some up in Arkansas. They weren't actually mine. They were my brother's. But he doesn't want them. I should have taken them back with me when I was down there last. But they're still there. I hope they're still there. I got to talk to my mom about that. Anyway, Jack, what do you have?
All right. So since my best watch this week was easily X-Men. I'm showing off some of my X-Men stuff. I found these because I had to clear out my bookshelf because of the rain. I was like, oh, look what's over here. So this is a book of masks, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Okay.
Jack has an activity book.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
You got Beast. All right. Jubilee too. All right. Wolverine. Yeah, I remember those books.
Wait. The best one's coming up. Here's the best one.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
And of course, Magneto.
I want to see you wearing those masks, Jack.
Yeah, right. And those are still in the page. And then this one is a book of posters, which I thought was pretty cool. So we got Wolverine.
So 90s. I love it.
Yeah.
I had that. Right. They turned that into a card. That was the series 3 X-Men card.
Yeah. Gambit. Yo, hey Chris, no spoilers. But Gambit,
baby.
Beast, yeah.
Sentinels. And then there's a whole slew of just posters to rip out in addition.
Yo, Gambit had some awesome lines. The cards are always in my favor.
Yo, man, Gambit. Yeah, Gambit killed, man. Gambit. Well, they made Gambit as much a hero as we had Cyclops being a hero.
Yeah.
Like, everyone really got some really cool screen time.
All right.
Oh, here's just a quick... Here you go.
That's all of them right there.
That's all right there.
It's dope.
So this was a cool find. So I guess, here comes the rain again, and it worked out in my favor.
There you go.
Dope.
Lemonade, gentlemen. Lemonade.
Yep.
Lemonade, yeah. Sometimes when life gives you lemons, you just throw them out and say, "Hey, I'm not thirsty."
What you got, Rich?
What do I have?
Here we go.
I got a lot of crap, but have I shown you this? No, I've shown you that. Oh, no, don't fall. Did I show you my Chased Vision? My Chased Vision, limited Chased edition?
No.
Yeah, from the WandaVision.
Oh, shoot. It's in black and white.
Yeah. This is when he was in his whole little set. There's two. Oh, the one that the first version is when he's wearing the hat and everything like that. But then you got him right there in his chase where he's wearing his superhero in black and white.
That's great.
With a suit on.
I really dug WandaVision.
WandaVision?
Elements of it, anyway.
Well, yeah. WandaVision was all right.
Corey
in the house says you can't make an omelet without breaking a few lemons.
That's true, Corey.
Yeah, sure.
But I don't want to eat breakfast in your house, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, for real, for real. Yeah. All right. Great collections, guys. Great stuff that you bought, Rich. With that being said, let's transition to the old
Breaking news.
Time for some news.
All right. I got a couple things. I got like 5 things. And I'm going to do it off of my phone like I do late at night. Anyway.
We're just going to ignore the fact that we're on the brink of World War III, right? And talk about just like lighthearted superhero news.
Did I miss something? I must have missed something. I have not been attached to the actual world news in quite a bit.
Yeah, Iran kind of bombed Israel, and kind of a big deal because, yeah. So.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. No, we're not going to talk about that. We're just going to let the world burn and just sip our coffee and say this is fine. James Gunn superhero villain reveals shows DCU is already avoiding a long-running MCU problem. The new James Gunn villain is going to be Lex Luthor in the 2025 Superman.
Lord forbid.
Yeah, I mean,
listen, Lex Luthor's. For me, it's like my question is always, which version of Lex Luthor are you giving us?
Right.
And
we get the power suit. That's what I want to know.
Look, I would not knock Jesse Eisenberg as an actor, but I don't know that he was necessarily the best casting for the definitive Lex Luthor.
He was too Mark Zuckerberg in there.
Yeah, yeah.
I need like a smooth you need like a smooth calculating like business guy like Leonardo DiCaprio, Wolf of Wall Street.
You either want the guy who's running for president or the guy who's in the power suit, both of which are billionaire philanthropists, insanely brilliant. Yeah, well, exactly.
Etc. If it works, man.
It does. I mean, listen, everyone trying to get reinvent the wheel, just bring it back,
It'll be fine. I'm sure, Corey. It always works out.
Typecast as Sasquatch.
And we got S in the house.
He was a terrible
Lex Luthor. Well,
I wouldn't go so far as terrible.
He was. You know what he was? He was like a McFarlane DC multiverse version of a Lex Luthor.
Yeah, just reuse parts. But he was like, I think they reimagined what would a magnet like a billionaire now would be. It would be a tech guy, and that's how tech guys are. They're a little weird, they're a little quirky, and they're like, they're just weird. Like
they're very autistic.
Yeah, well, yeah.
There's nothing wrong with any of that.
There's nothing wrong with it. You're saying.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, watching the show, it's been fun to host and be a part of the last 200 episodes.
Listen, it is what it is, bro.
Well, you know what? So for a long time, I worked
to get us canned, man.
But all jokes aside, for a long time, I worked in cybersecurity, and the kind of guys that are attracted to that is people who are on the spectrum, because the way their brains are wired, they're just wired for that job, and their attention to detail, their focus, and their like one track vision works.
So what are they
well.
going to do when AI takes over?
Yeah. They say, I don't know, man. I mean, those are the ones who are going to save us when AI takes over. I'll tell you
that. They'll have the bunkers ready with the
yeah. They'll be the ones sitting through lines and lines of code.
Yeah, so. Got it. I could erase our whole existence right now. We can live underground. Anyway, okay. R-rated live action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin movie will adapt the darkest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle story yet.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Wait. It's supposed to be an R-rated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and my question is why?
Last Ronin fits.
Everyone's dying.
I guess, but of all the things that don't necessarily need to be R, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles don't necessarily need to be R. You know,
if due to violence and tone, if it's R, not just for the fact of shock value, but R because of gratuitous violence, I'm with it.
Okay, but I mean, listen, I'm not saying I'm not going to watch it. I mean, the content's clearly directly made for me. They're like, adult who grew up on this stuff wants to see, Leonardo actually cut someone's head off. And you're like, okay, but, and I know that the original Eastman comics and stuff, they were dark.
Older.
I know they were dark, but I'm also like, man, this content is for kids, and it's okay to have some stuff that's for kids. Mario was fun.
But Last Ronin,
I don't necessarily need an R-rated version of Mario where I see the guts when he jumps on the dudes.
Yeah, but Last Ronin is not for kids.
That would be great. Okay, all right. That would be actually great. But anyway, Captain America 4 footage reaction. Harrison Ford wants Sam Wilson to rebuild the Avengers. This came out in CinemaCon 2024. And we had Harrison Ford, who played Thunderbolt, talking. There was a scene where he was talking to Sam, saying that, pretty much we need the Avengers and you need to take the lead. What do you think about that? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot that he took over when What's-His-Face passed away.
I did too.
Yeah.
Right. We got a lot of catching up in the chat here.
Go ahead. You want to go run through it real quick?
Yeah, let's run them real quick. Corey's been gapping, which is nice. He says,
cancel Jack.
Thanks.
Jack is the most progressive and PC one out of all of us.
You know how that's going to end.
Corey wants all the smoke.
ETC dead on the money. Kevin Spacey with one line made a terrible movie watchable. Gene Hackman, iconic in the role. John, yes, and he mentions Michael Rosenbaum later in the chat, who was phenomenal, which actually be interesting to see him come back now that he's aged up too. Corey thinks Fallout was excellent, which it was. He's confused about the R rating. Corey,
it was an R-rated comic though. The content yields to an R rating.
Yeah,
originally, yeah. I mean, listen, it's samurai kung fu cutting stuff up with grotesque mutant monsters.
Right.
So it's like, I get it, but it shouldn't feel. But it was like when the last Hellboy movie came out, right? You got a great actor in a film that felt like it was R rating just for the sake of having the F word and a lot of blood in it. It didn't necessarily serve the content in a way where it was better than the other Hellboys just because it had an R rating.
Right.
Yeah. All
right. ETC also says at some point they might as well do Mario with the GTA theme, which is kind of what we're getting at. Like it's okay if some things stay kid-orientated content,
Do you guys remember the SNL skit with Mario where they did like a dark version of Mario?
Yeah, but SNL is hysterical. You saw the Sesame Street skit was
Oscar the Grouch.
Mario was what's his face? Mandalorian.
Oh yes.
was hysterical.
It was.
Yeah.
People are making comparisons to Henry Cavill's Witcher to his Henry Cavill's Highlander.
Is Henry Cavill in Highlander?
He's going to be the Highlander. They're in the talks of remaking the Highlander. And listen, it's the plot details are still on the wraps, but director Chad Stahelski.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I probably butchered that. They're working to create, and Cavill are working to create a faithful reimagining of Highlander with epic action sequences. I mean, sign me up. If Cavill's actually actively involved and has his hand in it, you know it's going to turn out right because Cavill
he loves the genre. He's an actual like World of Warcraft nerd.
Yeah. Like he's actually into what he does, and he's informed. And I feel like any actor that's really into it, they actually help the content if the directors and producers and all of them actually listen to them, because they'll add insight. Like I've said this before, and I'll keep saying it. The guy that plays Star Killer in the video games for Star Wars he's a prime example. He sat there. They brought him on to multiple projects because he's so knowledgeable about Star Wars. It was like, wait a minute. This doesn't make sense. What if I did it like this? Or what if that happened instead of this? And they sat back and were like, yo, this dude's right. Like, this dude's right. And it just makes it better content.
A lot of people let ego go.
Yeah.
Corey, I put it as was this is immortalized forever. Henry Cavill is Whole Cake Hot Meat Factory. I will watch whenever he takes his shirt off.
Bro. Okay. All right. What else?
My question about Highlander is, I just, man, it's like there's really no room for like really good new content.
Yeah, it's easier to redo stuff.
It's easy to redo, right? But I mean, people are not really receptive to new stuff most of the time.
But people aren't. I don't think the masses have been flocking to all these reboots and remakes.
True.
Yeah.
I think ETC responds to Corey.
You don't want man meat all in your face. Just chesticles all out, bouncing.
You got that taco meat.
You know.
And another.
Bethesda chart compares the number of quests in Starfield, Skyrim, and Fallout. And ladies and gentlemen, Skyrim kills it with all the quests at over 200 quests. I'm sorry, 273 quests.
Skyrim.
Well,
Skyrim has so much going on, I couldn't even finish playing the game. It only decided to crash every time I turned it on. I couldn't even throw stuff away to like get this file size.
I bought it. I never got into it hard. I think Viv played it for a little bit. But Fallout, I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna get back into Fallout after watching Fallout. I was feeding to like play Fallout.
I re-downloaded Fallout 76 and I'm like,
ugh. Did you like it?
I liked it. I like playing with my friends, yeah. It had its issues. It definitely has its issues, and it probably still has its issues. But I got into it with my friends. You can play a horrible game as long as you got people around you cracking jokes and playing along with you and enjoying like commiserating together. You're still having a good time.
Yeah. See, I'm more. I don't play online the same way you play online. So Fallout 4 for me was it. Like that was the jam.
That was everybody.
And then to get to 76 was like, what the hell is this?
It was Fallout, but online. I mean, just throw up your little camp and make your own little settlement wherever you want, or almost wherever you want. But
it's like ETC and Corey have become best friends in the chat.
It is. Did we just become best friends? Yup.
All right. Last bit. Now let's see. You guys have something. Also, speaking of Fallout, they're coming out with I think I might have said this last week, but they're coming out with a updated version for the newer systems. So it's more optimized for Fallout 4 for the PC, the PS5, and the Series X. So
And
look out
Fallout
for
is
that.
on Fallout 4 is on Game Pass now, I believe.
Yeah, but also prepare to clear out your storage to to accommodate all of that, because I'm pretty sure it'll be hefty.
Yeah.
Red Dead Redemption 2 free expansion is one you won't play with family around. Um, I mean, long story short, it's going to be horrors. Gonna be able to.
Oh wait, the feed just cut out, guys.
What?
Wait, what?
Someone hit a button.
No,
No.
we're
We
talking
are
about
no
horse.
longer. We are no longer live.
It's your adult. It's your child filter that kicked in.
I think it's your child filter. Yeah. What are you talking about?
Well,
You're saying we live here?
can we get back on the same feed, or it's a new feed again?
Wait, you're off?
Are we recording?
Yeah, it's still saying live. We're still live here.
What the hell happened?
Yeah. Refresh your screen.
Hey, what's up then?
Hey. All right, there we go. We're back, or at least Jack's back. We always been here. So yeah, they're pretty much you get to talk to women of the night, or dabble in the oldest profession in the world.
Is that what is that? That's why it's just a lot of gratuitous game explicit content.
Yeah, it's pretty much what it is. It's gonna be you're gonna be dealing with a bunch of
Fallout
stuff.
London.
Yeah.
That was developed by fans.
But anyway, now unless anyone else has news, that is the news.
No, etc. says, hey, there was a Fallout London that was developed by fans.
There was? I heard there was like a Fallout Australia or Ireland or something like that. Or maybe that's the one he was talking about.
I mean, I played all the DLC too for Fallout 4. But yeah, I mean, I'll play it.
Wait, I got a bit of news.
What you got?
This is a follow-up news. So about Tesla releasing the free auto trial. Remember?
Yes. Yep.
So there was a 3-car collision, all Teslas, and were they all on autopilot at the time?
I don't think they said they didn't specify, but you can assume.
They're not going to specify.
Well, there you go. Update. So we're already having fun antics, and we have half of the month to go still.
Well, and let me tell you, Elon, have you guys seen the Cybertruck yet in person?
Not in. I might have seen one drive by.
All the Cybertrucks are here in Texas. I've seen a ton of them. If you see one parked, get close to it and look at the panel gaps. I can't believe a car of that price point is built with such terrible quality as that car is.
Really?
It looks like every car has been to an accident. Like, look at the panel gaps, and it's terrible.
They're just all like mismatched. They're all like close gaps. Oh my god, that is yo, that's embarrassing.
When you get up close to it, take a look, and you say, "Oh shoot, Chris was right."
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Well, panel. You see like the gaps in the panel. See, sometimes.
So you know how
you can tell when
you have the line of your fender, and you have you have the line of the fender and like your hood.
Yeah.
It should be uniform all the way down. It should be uniform on both sides. But when it looks like the car's been hit because one side will be really wide and one side will be really narrow and butted up against each other. It's terrible.
That helps with wind aerodynamicy, right?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
People have been bringing their stuff back for like electrical issues. Like this car has been cursed from the jump.
Problems.
Yo, oh man. I mean, most of the time I see it now in media, it's like people shooting at it. Like people will get it and they'll take it to the range and they'll start shooting.
They'll stop at 9mm.
Yeah. But that's it. Listen, Jack, what are you smiling for?
Can't help
Chris,
it.
I'm gonna need you to focus up.
Here we go.
Because we're getting into it, and it's going to be great.
The debate.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got a debate, and since we're talking about Fallout, we might as well make this a Fallout-esque debate. And the debate is, congratulations, you are born a Vault Dweller. But the bad news of it is you're in the worst generation. The Vault is starting to fail. It has issues, major issues, needs repairs, vital systems are starting to fail, and life is getting really hard. But there are plans in the works by the overseer. Option A culling of the population to reduce a strain on failing systems and dwindling resources. Right?
Okay.
Right? And then obviously because this is Fallout, they'll figure out a better plan after we cull people. But then we have another we got another couple of options. Okay. You, as the vault dweller, you can retire the overseer and then come up with a better plan, or you can try to strike it out on your own and see if you'll survive in the wasteland. Now, if you take over the overseer's position, you got to tell us what the plan is to bring back the vault back to its former glory. And if you decide to escape, you got to explain how you're going to escape, whether you're going to escape by yourself, and then what's your odds of living out in the wastelands. Gentlemen, what you got?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
If
Wait a second. I'm sorry, Jack. You're the Ed McMahon of the show.
hey, guess I'll take it.
We got a lot of chatter going on. I'm trying to let Rich get through the debate question. I'm reading these things that Jack is drunk, and someone's like, "No, Jack doesn't drink." I was like, "Jack is the Ed McMahon of the show."
The chat has taken on a life of its own.
Good.
I love it.
What was I going to say? So if hypothetically, if you're a ghoul, and let's say you have a lifetime supply of the vials to stay mentally cognitive,
Okay.
your nose falls off.
Correct.
Right.
Wouldn't your ears don't fall off though?
No.
Jack, what does this have to do with the debate question?
Well, I'm wondering what other parts fall off, I guess.
Jack, just ask a question. Does your junk fall off? That's what Jack, we all want to know. Is his junk intact?
Okay. So what are you guys doing?
Well, the answer to that question, it sends me in a direction, because I might go to the surface and go ghoul. You know? Like gunslinging ghoul is kind of a cool way to go. You're gonna go some way. You guys ever play Chikong the Forever Man? I kind of go that route where you got like.
I don't think that's how becoming a ghoul works.
Yeah.
I mean, in the show, yeah, you hit some drugs and you become.
I mean, look at the Soldier Kid.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In the show, it was different, but usually, if you're a ghoul, you became a ghoul because you were exposed to the radiation. And the blast of the bombs and whatnot, and you survived.
I would ask this, yes. So,
but okay. So we're gonna put this in the world of the show. Fine.
Yeah.
Yes, you go ghoul. Okay. So you're escaping. I'm assuming.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna escape. I'm gonna get my hand on.
Now, how are you escaping? Do you have help? Do you get on your own? How is this happening?
Well, all the ladies of the vault are quite taken by me. It's
really? Obviously,
right?
Okay.
I'm like, and so
just raising them up. Okay, got it.
I basically got a harem of women. It's tough, and so one of the ladies are the gatekeeper. She's gonna open the door for us, and me and said harem are going to leave the vault. We're creating more space for the people in the vault.
So Jack is a post-apocalyptic pimp.
No. I'm not pimping them out. They refuse to not follow me.
So you're a post-apocalyptic cult leader. It's a sex cult. Let's just call it.
I'm the Ed McMahon of the vault.
Okay.
So I'm going on a ghoul quest.
Okay. Wait. Did you run this past your harem? That you're becoming a ghoul and they're all becoming ghouls?
Well, I hadn't considered them becoming ghouls.
So you just want to become a ghoul.
Right. I want to live forever.
And then your junk falls off.
Wait, I thought we established that didn't happen.
Did we?
Didn't we?
We just said that we don't know.
Yeah. So now you're a ghoul.
That would be the most ironic thing to happen. You have a harem of women and you have no junk. Bing bang. That's like a Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
All right. Let's double back on this one. So, Chris, where are you going with yours? Yeah, we already know what Chris is gonna do. He's gonna start sacrificing people.
You would think that, but you know what? I'd be like, look, we've been in this vault for generations. It's time to MacGyver this shit and get out there and build it up and repair. And obviously, I'll have to retire the overseer and take charge because my thirst for power is unquenchable.
So you're gonna kill the overseer and leave the vault?
No. I don't necessarily need to kill the overseer. I just think that they would just succumb to my request for power.
Your influence.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And then we would send packs out, rotating, and it'll be very much Walking Dead, where we go get supplies and kind of patch together our place, and life finds a way.
Pop Johnson has joined the chat for the first time.
What up?
What's going on?
Pop Johnson.
All right, so Jack will take a harem of women out the vault, therefore leaving the vault without means of reproducing. I'm assuming because there's going to be a lot of inbreeding at that point in time. Well, unless you're taking all of the women, which now we really got a problem.
Harem, Jack?
Huh?
How many women you got in your harem?
I think the whole vault is joining.
So wait.
I tried to talk him out of it.
Okay, wow. So in your world, your vault, it's just you and like 30 chicks.
It's basically like what's that dungeon one?
Dungeon one? Is it is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon?
Right. Listen, I can't help the way people behave.
Okay.
So either way, either the vote's going to dwindle because you're going to take all of the women away, or there's going to be severe inbreeding. I mean, there's going to be severe inbreeding either way.
Either way.
Man, you just messed up a whole community and created another messed up community.
But I left the vault.
But you left the vault. Yeah, that's what matters. You left the vault, and you're a dongless ghoul. Got it.
And I believe we were talking about Chris at this point, anyway, who also decided who took out the overseer and left the vault.
Right.
Well, so I'm not leaving the vault. I'm not leaving the vault for good. We're going on missions and taking what we can scavenge and using that to improve the vault.
Oh.
Why wouldn't that be the simpler thing? And I get to keep my dong.
He gets to keep.
Well, I get to keep my dong too.
I don't know about that, Jack. We don't know about that.
You might find the dong along the way.
Throw a finger back on.
Any solution that leads me to keep my dong. I'm very, very fond of it, so I would prefer to keep it.
I mean, also, I could be like a ghoul in one of those mech suits.
You got to get yourself one first, yeah.
Oh, I'd get myself a mech suit.
I mean, yeah, there are mech suits all over the game.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you can piece it all together. Yeah, you're right. I'll give you that. Okay.
Rick, what would you do?
I was thinking about either just escaping on my own, maybe taking a buddy with me, and just striking out on our own in the wasteland. But I was like, you know what? Retiring the overseer and taking over, that sounds a whole lot better. And then, just like Chris said, raiding parties, we just go out, maybe not raiding parties, excavation parties, finders keepers, if you will. Go out there, find a resource, get in the parts that we need to get whatever systems we need back online. And, maybe trading with the subculture out there, because we are the superior culture, because we are vault dwellers. Come on, bunch of savages. But pretty much bring our vote back up to its original glory, and maybe we might take a few people on, if they find themselves, useful.
Worthy enough.
Yeah, worthy enough. Sure.
What's the perk of leaving the vault, though? You have
no choice, though. In your scenario, you have no choice. The vault is falling apart.
Yes,
that's right. That's true. So it's either you band-aid the thing together, but it's going to fall apart, or you leave it.
And it's not even banned any because the overseer that's in charge right now is planning on killing some of the population to reduce the strain on the systems and resources. So you might be one of those people that's going to be culled.
Oh yeah, we're definitely taking the ladies and leaving.
All right. Well,
I think we got insight into Jack's insight.
Yeah.
So Jack fantasy to run around the wasteland with a harem of women as he becomes a ghoul.
No, that's not my fantasy. Listen, I'm
pretty much
I'm
what
a
you
monogamous dude. What I said was they refused to leave me.
It's not cheating if they're all down, Jack.
It's not cheating if they're all down.
Right.
Look at him. Look at this guy. Yeah, just yo. All right.
Sister wives
indeed. Anyway, so Jack will be sister wiving up in the wasteland. Me and Chris will pretty much be rebuilding the vault. I feel like me and Chris won this one. Jack is gonna be in
Jack's is some weird
stuff out there.
Yeah.
give it a few more years and they'll be talking about him in the wasteland. Like, oh wait, don't go over there in the East Valley. You got that weird sex cult out there.
Yeah. He just plays sex because he has no dog. So he just humps everything with a smooth piece of skin. He's like a Ken doll out there.
You bunch of idiots.
All right. Yo. Good debate. We're going to move on to the main topic.
We're just done.
Okay. Focus. All right. We're moving on to the main topic. We're talking Fallout, the Amazon series, and we're going to get through all 8 episodes because me and Jack watched it all. Because it was pretty all right.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
You just didn't have the time. I get it. Life, it happens. So yeah, let's
because we're gonna spoil it for you.
Yeah, we're gonna spoil it for you. Let's move on to spoiler free, gentlemen. How did you feel about the episodes you did watch? Let's start with Chris.
Halo, you should be taking notes because if you want to take a literal take on a video game, this is how you do it. You know, they took an extremely literal take on Fallout, from the Pip-Boy to the graphics to Nuka-Cola to you can pick out all these things that they took out, and it just worked.
For some reason, I can imagine Jack being like Danny McBride, and this is the end. And he has a dude on a gimp.
Jack, we've been doing this for 2 years. This one thing is gonna stick with you forever.
Good.
He got the Channing Tatum, his gimp, just going around with him. Yeah. Okay, all right. Yes, I agree with you, Chris. Jack,
listen. I enjoy the content. I enjoy the characters. I enjoyed the character development. I enjoyed the content. I didn't think it was changing the world necessarily, but there wasn't anything I didn't enjoy about it from one episode to the next. Is that you, Chris?
That is me. Sorry, she rolled into the office and is keeping me safe from.
Oh, she has something to say about the content. I mean, there are some really dangerous cameos in this thing.
She heard Jack talking and was like, stay away from that guy. He's going to have you doing all types of weird things in this cult.
She wants to join the harem. What do you want me to say?
Wow. Let's not touch that one.
I mean, look, this is post-apocalyptic. No judgment. Jack's post-apocalyptic world.
That's not what I meant.
I don't know, Jack. My dog wants to join that harem. It's not a reach.
No, you're right. That came out wrong.
Yeah. Listen, I enjoyed it. There was certain elements where I thought it was annoying, but the overall show kind of overshadowed that. I kind of was like, whatever, it is what it is. This is the new normal now. But other than that, I feel like this was once like Chris said, Paramount, take effing notes, because this is how you take an element from a video game that people love and like kind of bring it into the real life, because again, this is it. I mean, there was a couple things that just didn't. There was one thing that didn't pan out, which people were saying on the blogs and whatnot. But other than that, it was pretty good. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, the Last of Us, that content from sketch to scale across the board, just kind of,
yeah.
This is definitely not.
I think the tone of The Last of Us is definitely different than the tone of Fallout, where The Last of Us is extremely grounded, where Fallout, you're in like this hybrid, like almost like Batman the Animated Series type world where you're in the past, but yet you're in the future also.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a very, very like 50s sci-fi.
But it doesn't look as campy as like Borderlands. Looks like it's gonna be pretty campy.
Right.
Yeah, Borderlands is pretty. Yeah. All right. Well,
but it goes back to the just the content of the games. You look at The Last of Us is really grounded content for the game. The narrative is compelling. Fallout has those elements, but it's a action adventure kind of first person shooter game.
Right.
Halo. Being honest, the original Halo storylines were a little thin.
I mean, if you're going off of the game, yeah, but there are books that back everything up, and the books kind of roll hand in hand with the game.
Right.
So if you haven't read the books, then yeah, you can. If you're just going off of the game, then yes, you can sit there and be like, the storylines, I mean, guess somewhat weak. I mean, even the fighting for the humanity and the world and keeping it from alien invasions, you can kind of go anywhere with that. But there's just certain elements of the game where it's like, like showing Master Chief's face, like, which was the major thing everyone had a problem with. Because the thing with Master Chief, he didn't show his face, and everyone can kind of envision him, and that's why he was the staple of the whole movement. Like, everyone could be like, you can be Master Chief, you can be like Master Chief, you can see yourself being that guy and being a hero, and then you kind of put a face on him, and now it's just like, this guy. And also, you made him mad emotional, like a child. I'm just like, man, come on now. Anyway, he hashtag not my Master Chief. Anyway, so let's get into this. All right, now we're going to spoil it. So if you guys haven't seen it, pause it. No, let this run in the background and go watch it, and then come back when you get caught up in 8 hours.
Yeah,
8 hours. Or just sit here and we'll spoil it for you.
Yes, we do that too. It fits perfectly in the video game world while standing just fine on its own. The Last of Us and Fallout don't need to be excuse me. And Borderlands will be fine in spite of Eli. We'll see if Borderlands fine. I don't know.
Yeah. No, and I agree. And you hit that next last comment from Corey about other thing. Fallout wasn't trying to ground itself in our reality. They just brought us to others, which I think is a good way to lead into it. Like we were brought into this Fallout reality where we open up with this scene. Like, that scene hit the first scene.
Let's talk about that opening scene.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm talking about. If you guys are good, I'll keep going. I mean,
keep going.
We see a guy. We assume, like, from what little we get at that point in time, we assume like he's a washed-up Hollywood actor. We hear mumbling. He's at a rich people's party. The mom keeps, we keep getting shots of inside and outside. And they keep turning off the TV because they're talking about a pending atomic blast, atomic attack.
Right.
And he's talking to his son. He tells his son, like, hey, if you put your thumb up, if it's bigger than your thumb, you're okay. You're safe.
How's his daughter?
Daughter. I'm sorry. His daughter. You put your thumb up, and like he's just, the guy's just trying to make some money. Like he's a little bit washed up. He's a little bit down on his luck, and he's outside. And the daughter's like, "Hey, I want a piece of cake." And he goes inside to get a piece of cake, and then next thing you know, the bombings happen, and it is bananas.
Yeah. Well, it's also really. I mean, the kid who plays his daughter kills it, right? Because the guy's clearly an actor who used to be kind of like a John Wayne figure,
Yep.
doing all these like hero roles in westerns and stuff in the 50s and whatnot. And his career's took some sort of weird turn, so he's turning tricks at a kid's birthday party essentially.
It's like Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah, exactly. And so the dad asks him to do this, stick your thumb up. And we don't know why, but he doesn't want to do it. And his daughter asks him later, why don't you want to do the thumb thing? Because he's known for it. And for some reason, the dad associates that with when he was in the war. And the kid basically asks the dad if the bombs are going to go off. And he says, listen, if you see an explosion, you put your thumb up. And if the mushroom cloud is smaller than your thumb, then you're okay. Just run. And she goes, well, what if it's bigger than your thumb? And he goes, then there's no need to run. And then she asks him for the cake, and he goes inside, and a bomb hits. Yeah. And we see the flash just encompass the kid's face, and this kind of numb shock realization of what just happened. She slowly raises her thumb up, and the dad comes out, and she's like, your thumb or mine? Which is really cute and terrifying because the kid is like identifying that clearly the dad has a bigger hand than she does, so maybe we're still okay. And the dad's like, it's not what you think it is. And then he sees the cloud, and this thing is bigger than a building, let alone your thumb.
Yeah.
And he goes right into action. They jump on a horse, and as they're riding off, and you start to see humanity play out right there too, right? Because the rich guy who owns the vault is punching out his black friend who wants to get in the
He's like, this is our chance to repopulate without you people.
Like, okay. And as Walton's character is who is phenomenal in the entire show, by the way, is riding down the hill as 3 other bombs are just blowing up all of Los Angeles. And you're sitting here going, whoa, this content's about to just be great.
Another part of that scene that I liked was when you're talking about, speaking of humanity playing out, the weatherman, before they clicked him off. Dude, he was like, why am I even talking about the weather? I'm not even sure I'm going to be here tomorrow. You know, I was like, bro, that's so real. Like, I just imagine watching the news and the professionals are sitting there like, you know what, the news, it don't matter. We're all going to die. You know,
that's why it's poignant because we got
his character is kind of like Leonardo DiCaprio's character in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and that's kind of accurate too. Yeah.
So a couple weeks ago, we went to a military museum, and they had the rocket that carried a warhead. I forgot which warhead it was, the big boy or whatever it was, and they gave the blast radius. And if you're not killed within like that immediate radius, there's a radius that's like 2 miles away where you have like this painless death because the radiation fries all your nerves on your skin and you don't feel anything. You just die, which is so like
it's wild.
Well,
morbid,
weird. Guys, I've been to Hiroshima, and I've stood at that building. They preserved the building that's still kind of there from when the bomb hit, and it's crazy to see it. I mean, the whole thing looks like a skeleton, you know. In that museum, you know, they have a museum there that's kind of like has everything from what happened at that time, and it's just heart-wrenching to see what that really is. It's horrific.
Yeah.
You know what? The logic behind dropping 2 nuclear bombs was we didn't want the Japanese to think we only had one of those bombs, and that's why they dropped 2 of them to let them know there's more. There's more where this came from. So if you don't submit and give up, there's more, and that's why we dropped 2. And that's why we dropped 2 and not 1.
So back to this content, we see at least three hits.
At least, yeah.
Bang, bang, bang. As the guy and his kid are riding down like the hills on horseback, and you're like, okay, they're done.
Yeah, I mean, you would think, and I would imagine that the kid is actually done because we don't
Well,
see
except
her.
for major spoiler, what the last line of the episode? What is he talking about?
Actually, yeah. So let me take that back. Sorry. Anyway, so we fast forward a few hundred years. We meet Lucy.
219 years to be exact.
To be very
219 years.
exact.
Okay. All right.
And
They
why
were
is that number significant? Does anyone know?
219 years. I have no idea.
It might have to do with something with the radiation.
Oh,
How much it takes for radiation to dissipate.
I see.
I'm assuming. I don't know. I'm just making shit up. Who knows?
Yeah.
It sounds like it makes sense though.
I let Chris talk and I let Jack nod his head like, yeah. Okay. So we meet Lucy, a vault dweller damsel, who's about to tie the knot with a gent. Well, actually, let's talk about Lucy real quick. Lucy is an exceptional vault dweller. She is at the top of all of her tests and scores and everything. She's top fighter, marksman. She's just pretty smart. She's pretty bright. And she's about to get married. And the reason for this marriage is to bring on another vault in order to kind of
Stop
pass
the
on
inbreeding.
resources.
Yeah.
Stop the inbreeding and then pass on resources and whatnot. Because apparently Vault 32, also mind you, we're in Vault 33. Vault 32 is having issues, which you find out later on.
They had blight.
They have blight with their crops, correct.
Yeah.
And they're giving off some resources in order to get good breeding stock into the Vault 33. But we see the life that Lucy going through life and everything like that, and everything was good in Vault 33. Everyone's happy, jolly, they're all polite. Also there's some cousins fooling around with each other, which was kind of weird, but hey, listen, slim pickings in the vault, right?
Look, you can't judge. It's post-apocalyptic.
I mean, it's not like Jack's vault where he has all the women after him.
Yeah.
So we see everyone's ins and out. Lucy's dad is the overseer. What was that? To answer
He said it takes about 100 years for radiation to die off for human habitation.
Okay. So I guess
related question. What's that? Shady Sands?
Shady Sands, yes.
Was that another nuclear bomb that hit?
I believe so, yes.
Or just a bomb? It was a nuclear bomb.
I believe it was a nuclear bomb.
Wait, where?
So that's why another 100 years would have been needed.
Which we'll find out about that as well, about Shady Sands, because it's all connected. So we're kind of doing a little flip-flopping. So we're looking at Lucy, and then we're also going to Maximus, who is a recruit in the Brotherhood of Steel, and he's kind of I don't know, how would you describe Maximus?
He's a true believer. Like he's
but he's also very weak. He's like a beaten dog who wants to be heroic, but seems to have he's been conditioned by the boot.
Right. You'll see some scenes with him where he's pretty much dealing with bullying. He's
that's how we open up. He's getting his butt kicked.
Yeah,
we're introduced to him.
He's getting stomped out, and then Dane comes through and saves him, which is a strong young woman who comes in and is like, "Hey, back up off my boy, or you're gonna catch these hands of all 100 pounds of me." And everyone's like, "Hey,
them."
Listen.
Yeah, they had a mustache.
I was
no. It's Dane is neither male nor female in the content, because even the brother, the cleric guy, calls them or they in the scene.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like even the content itself is self-aware enough in 2024 content to know that you got to say it right. Right.
I want to hear what Fox News has to say about this.
Yeah, I mean, and this is once again some of the stuff.
Go back and watch that first scene. Where
you're right. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
This is some of the stuff that I said that I would just have to get used to, and I rolled my eyes at. But continue watching the show anyway.
Before.
Huh?
What?
Anyway, so Dane breaks up the fight. They have a little heart-to-heart talk. And after that, we jump again to a bunch of bounty hunters breaking into. I don't know if they were breaking into a vault or they entered into a domicile and they were looking for a grave. Well, they're looking for a person. We come to find out the person they're looking for is in a grave.
Wait, did we talk about the raid first? Did we talk about the Raiders?
No, I don't think the Raiders happened yet. Yeah. The Raiders didn't happen yet, right? No,
I thought the Raiders happened first. No,
did it? We'll get to it. We're just trying to introduce everyone.
A bunch of so Chris is Rich is giving us the breakdown of the main character plot points we're going to start following. Right, we got the soldier, we got the vault dweller, we're about to have the ghoul who we get introduced to, and those are the main characters, right? Those are the main characters we're following.
Right. So we get introduced to the ghoul. What was his name again?
Well, he's called the Ghoul, but he is the Western hero.
He's a cowboy. We saw the opening.
Right. So we get reintroduced to the Ghoul, who gets dug up. He was captured, and every few, I think, said like 10 years or something like that. The guy that captured him, the person that captured him, brings him back up, cuts a piece off of him, and eats it, and then reburies him. It pretty much keeps him alive. Or at least keeps him functional. And they're worried that the fact that if this ghoul attacks this chicken, then we're going to have to put him down because he went full feral. And, at that point, he's useless to us. But this ghoul has a reputation of being one of the best bounty hunters.
Because that guy, Hancho, he said his father had hunted with him back in the day.
Right. So we know that this ghoul is a couple hundred years old. And so that's our characters. So now let's bring it back to the vault. Going to the vault, we get into this.
But also, anybody who is aware of the actors playing the role know that this is the guy who we saw riding down the hill with his daughter on a horseback, right? So instantly, we're like, this guy's at least 219 years plus. He was probably 40 something at least, so he's 260. He's almost Yoda's. He's almost 300 years old.
Right. So now we're back in the vault. Everyone's getting ready for this wedding. Joyous occasion. Everyone's happy because this is the Vault 33. It's a happy vault. You know what I mean? Nothing's going wrong in the vault, at least that we know of. So we get introduced to Vault 32. And we find out they're having a blight. So they're going to get the resources and help everything through this wedding. We open up Vault 32, and it's just overlooming darkness when you see them. Right. It's like they're in the shadow. Like they're not that bright. In comparison to Vault 33, they're not that happy, bright, vault. But they put on a good face, and they get on through. They have this wedding, and as the wedding's going on and the ceremony and everything like that, you notice the Vault 32 is they're a little off.
Something's not quite right.
Yeah,
the way they're eating the food.
Yeah, they act like a bunch of savages, right? And at first I was like, they're probably raiders. Like I thought, I'm like, they have to be raiders. Just disguising so they can get to another vault. But Lucy and I forgot Raider number 1, Raider Groom. We'll call him Raider Groom. They get married. They go back to the room, and they get right to doing the deed.
Well, that's what's so nice about the vault is the way they're conditioned to sexual acts. It's like it's just a thing, So she's like, "Hey, man, you want to do it?" And he's like, "Zoink."
Yeah,
there's not even a conversation.
Let's do it. Like this is our duty. We have to do this. So let's just.
And this plays out throughout the whole content. It's like Lucy's got. It's not like she's conditioned to be bashful or ashamed. We are groomed in America to be pseudo ashamed of the act and secretive of all that stuff. That don't exist in this content.
That's because it's something that needs to happen in order to repopulate
the planet. Yeah,
yeah, it's true.
So we get to the end of that. Again, we got a lot of weird stuff happening. And then I believe everyone starts acting wild while Lucy and Raider Groom is still in there.
Well, the brothers in Vault 32, and he realized, hey, this is not right. And as he's walking back, he sees that these guys were like they drop their cover. They're like, let's go. And then Lucy, after she's post-coital, like, is lying in bed, and she's realizing, and she's hearing gunshots, and she's like, what's going on? And then her dude is like, doesn't really say it. He makes a comment.
He does. No, he says, he goes, I want you to know this has been the best day of my life. And then he pulls a knife out and stabs her.
Yep.
Yeah. So they get into it. Lucy ends up pretty much ripping his jaw off, which was pretty gruesome, but also pretty cool. So now Lucy, stabbed, runs out there. She goes to help. She gets some stems, hits herself up because she got to keep herself going.
That's kind of cool how they use it like the show, like the video game.
Yeah.
Yes, oh yeah, very much like
the game. I got the video game.
The boy, you know.
Yeah, they got the Pit Boy as well. What the thing about the stem with the video game? I thought that was like the Wasteland stem. Like I wouldn't think that that would be
interesting. Yeah. It looked kind of grotesque.
Yeah,
like it looked dirty, syringy.
Yeah. So anyway, she gears up. The only thing they have, I don't believe all the guns are gone. The armory has been raided, and the only thing's left is a trank gun. So Lucy gears up, and she makes do with what she got. She tranks a few people along the way, showing off her physical prowess and getting a little handsy with some of the raiders. You're seeing everyone else pretty much getting decimated by the raiders, and so they get to the point where the last few people are pretty much captured, and they're looking for. They want the overseer. I believe he was trapped in a room.
Right, Hank.
Or he locked himself in a room. Take that back, Hank. And they want him out. And if he didn't come out, pretty much the rest of these vault dwellers are going to die, or at least the ones that they captured. They're going to die, and they're going to kill everyone that they find.
Right.
Lucy pops up. Come to find the leader of the leader of the raiders captures Lucy, and this convinced Hank to come out. Then he puts Lucy in. Traps her in there, and he's like, yo, this is something I have to do. I'm the overseer. So they capture her, and they have a bomb, mind you. They have a bomb at the entrance, the gateway between 33 and 32. And as they, go on about as they take Hank away, they detonate the bomb. Big explosion. Everyone, blasted, but not dead. After that, now we're trying to pick up the pieces.
Literally, they'll be dragging bodies and
and that's actually the end of episode 1.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
They are long episodes. They're all hour-long episodes.
Hour plus, some are hour 15 minutes. Yeah,
they're long. They're 8 hour plus episodes. So for sake of us talking about it, we'll go broad strokey with it.
Yeah, we'll go broad strokey. So why did I broad strokey?
You jump right on that one.
I did pause. Anyway, so now we're on episode 2. The target. We got the
Bob Johnson says that's R. Yes, it's definitely R content. There's cursing, there's violence. You see it.
It's prime.
There's not a lot of gratuitous action going on by any means, actually, but you see the violence for sure.
Yeah. Well, we get episode 2. We get to a good shootout. We see. Heads exploding.
Well, there is a kind of group there. I take that back. There is like a group orgy scene in like episode 6 or 7, which is kind of awkward, but the protagonist leaves, so you don't really see much of that. But that does happen. The content's wild.
It sounds like Jack's type of vault. All right.
I didn't write it. I mean, they got extra appendages everywhere.
Yeah. Anyway, so now we're at episode 2 of the target. The reason why the ghoul was brought up or resurrected, I don't know, brought back to the world, is to hunt down a target, which is a scientist from the Brotherhood. We kind of get introduced to the scientists of the Brotherhood a bit. We'll just call them Brotherhood.
His name is Wiley or something like that.
What? Wilzig.
Yeah, Wilzig.
Yeah, Wilzig. Yeah.
And we'll see Wilzig. He's out here training dogs, some Malinois. probably butchered that name. We were talking about those police dogs before.
Kind of just training one of them.
Yeah, he's training one of them, but you see other scientists training their dogs, and his dog is not too receptive to his training, but is very loyal to him.
Oh, yeah.
You see, the other dogs are very well trained. They sit, they do all the commands they need to. And in fact, it seemed like they do all the commands without actually being told to. Like, it looked like the scientists was kind of just looking at them, and they were just doing things.
Yeah, right. My dog didn't do any of that stuff.
Listen, you need the 21,000-year-old technology.
I guess so. I need something.
Because that's another thing I like about Fallout is the fact that everything looked like it's in the 50s, but it's so far advanced to where we're at.
It's like Batman the Animated Series. You're this weird, like you're the future of the past. It's like how when you used to see like when the 50s,
like the Jetsons.
Yeah, that's exactly the future of the past. That's exactly it. It's like there's a name for it. I can't think of it, but it's like how the past projected the future to be. So it's a 50s version of what they thought the future would be like.
Yeah, and automobiles in the 50s are really wild, actually. Automobiles that were made in the 50s are really wild to look at.
They were.
They almost feel more futuristic than cars today.
That's what they were going for. Yeah,
it's funny too, Jack. They have a lot of these cool features that they had. There's like one of these 50s cars had like a navigation, but it was a map, and the map would work with your speedometer, so it would actually move as you're moving because it would go by by your wheels turning. So it's kind of cool how like you have like this past future tech, but it's emulating some of the stuff we have now, but in a very like steampunky, like 50s kind of way. So it's a whole like subgenre for that, and I think it's really cool.
There's a car. If you're ever in California, I highly recommend check out the Peterson Museum. It's a car museum out here. Oh, it's so cool. But they have a whole like retro section. There's literally a car, I think it's probably from the 50s. And the way they place the wheels on this thing, it looks like the car is hovering. It really looks like the car is just kind of like floating.
Huh. I know there's a car that helps with parallel parking, which is pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, all four wheels go like that.
There was another one where a wheel comes out like the back, or like
and
it comes down, and then it like swings the back end out. It's pretty cool. Anyway, so now we're at episode 3. The Ghoul is now hunting for the target, which is the reason why they brought him back up, is because they wanted to get this large target, which was Wilzig from the Brotherhood, the scientist from the Brotherhood, and this was a bounty that was going to retire everyone. I mean, I don't know how much of a retirement you're going to get in the Wasteland, but if the guy was determined to get it, then why not? But he killed everyone.
Of older characters in the Wasteland, so clearly people are living.
Yeah, people are living.
Yeah, you got your rad pack. What was it? The Radaway? What was it called?
Yeah, the Radaway. Yeah. But
I gotta play Fallout 4 after this. That's what I'm doing. I'm playing Fallout 4 right after this. I'm playing Fallout 4 because I forgot how good the game was. The game was amazing. Yeah. I spent so much time playing that game. Viv too. Viv and I would take turns on it all because we were just married. We didn't have kids, and at night we would just take shifts playing Fallout 4 when it dropped. And I forgot how fun the game was. And I'm seeing all these things. It's all coming back to me. I'm seeing even when they're in the village and they're seeing all the elements from that. It's straight from the game. They did such a fantastic job with this series of ripping this from the game and putting it on the big screen and making it work. Like you feel like you're playing Fallout 4. It was like visually, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it was pretty dope. So the Ghoul hunting Wilzig. Get a shot of Maximus. He's going through his training. He's kind of disappointed, kind of bummed out because Dane is becoming a squire where he thought he would become one. And so he's like kind of down on his luck. Well, not down on his luck, just feeling depressed. He's like depressed, pissed off, furious, got all the emotions running through him. And then when it comes to time for Dane to go out there, she puts on her boots. You see yelling, razor blade in the boot. Now people are kind of skeptical. They're like, "Oh,
razor blade in the boot."
The old razor blade in the boot. You never heard of that one? It's pretty crazy. That's why you always look in your shoes before you put them on.
right.
For razor blades and for spiders. Yep. Anyway.
And it really jacks up their Achilles, so
yeah.
Not able to move anymore.
So she's out of commission. They ended up getting Maximus, and people were kind of skeptical about this. They were like, "Oh, well, he probably did it." The Brotherhood actually questioned him, and they were going to kill him at first. And then he showed his devotion and showed how much he cared about the cause. And then they were like, "Okay, well, you're going to be the squire. You cross us, we're going to kill you, pretty much." So he becomes a squire to Titus. Gets his brand, and they go out on their first mission, which was to go find the scientist.
Who does it, etc.
And Titus is played by Michael Rappaport.
Michael Rappaport, yes.
Yeah.
Now, when you first see the knights, that's the ones that are in the power armor, they seem very stoic. They don't talk much unless they need to talk. And then Titus gets up. He's like, "I'm bored. I want to shoot something." So they just drop him in the middle of nowhere with a gun and his whole pack, and they just go out to go shoot things.
But now what the F? So you drop him in the middle of nowhere, which happens to just coincide with being exactly where the runaway doctor is. But also we skipped a lot of little details. The runaway doctor comes in contact with our protagonist from the vault before this, right? Meets her in the middle of the night because she lights up a
fire. He's like, "Don't He's like, "I know you're from the vault. Don't do fires at night." And you have to, the same speech of you have to become like the monsters that are out here if you want to survive in the surface world versus the vault world.
Yeah. All right. Continuing, Jack.
What happened, Jack? You weren't happy with that?
No, it's fine. It's good.
Go ahead. Speak your mind, Jack.
But the one thing that was fun is we see a giant cockroach. It's about the size of this big, right? It's the size of your torso. And luckily the dog tears it apart, and our vault dweller Lucy is like, "Okay, I guess I won't be lighting any fires." And this is the first time we see like nuclear monster in the series is this giant cockroach, and so we're like, okay, I guess we can expect more abominations as the content goes on.
Yeah, we do. We do. Not far after this, we get back to Maximus. He tells him to go into like this radioactive cave after he sees the spam, and he's like, "I don't have any protection." He's like, "It's an act of bravery." And then next thing you know, a freaking bear attacks Titus, and then he turns into it. He shows once he encounters an actual foe, he shows his true colors. Where he's like,
such a wimp.
Yeah.
And so Titus gets really hurt by this rabid kind of nuclear bear, right? And then Maximus though shoots the bear. And Titus, like an idiot, like this is the worst part of the content, is telling Maximus how, "Help me, save me, I can't breathe. Also, I'm going to make sure you're punished and probably killed." And you're sitting here going, well, what do you think Maximus is going to do? So he just lets him die in the suit, right?
Yeah.
Of course.
He killed him, if I'm not mistaken.
Deathclaw. What is Deathclaw?
Is that the name of the bear?
Oh no, no. Deathclaw is something. It's something else. It's another abomination.
Oh,
but yeah, when you see see, Chris, you need to get back into Fallout. When you see a Deathclaw,
I don't remember a lot of stuff. I didn't remember, and I was like, "That's why I gotta play Fallout."
Yeah, man. That when you see a Deathclaw, you know exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he lets Titus die. Technically kills him, and then takes over his suit, and now he's sitting there like enjoying the wonders of a suit.
It's Iron Man 1.
It's Iron Man 1. It really is. He's just like, "Oh man, this is great." He's going around, and pretty much where he goes into town, and this is where everyone meets in the town. You got the doctor, you got Will Zig, you got the protagonist Lucy, you got the bounty hunter, the ghoul, they catch up with each other.
Coop.
And yeah, who Coop?
Coop.
Oh, that's the name. Oh, that's right, Cooper Coop. Yes. They catch up with each other. Bounty hunter, he's there for the doctor, and he's pretty much like, hey, hand him over. No one has to get hurt. The woman that Lucy.
Wait. He doesn't do that. The first thing he does is he shoots the guy's foot off.
He does shoot his foot off.
And then he says, hand him over. no one else has to get hurt.
He does.
And she's like 1,000 bottle caps to whoever kills this guy, this ghoul.
Oh, that's the other thing. Great. I mean, okay, jumping around a little bit, but he starts eating cherries because he's hungry from just shooting everybody. And then he just like so casually just chunks out some bottle caps for the cherries.
Yeah. But so the shopkeeper, who was kind of a smuggler, if you will, was getting the doctor to a certain point. I believe Sandy Shores. I don't remember exactly where they said to take her. But anyway, I'm sorry, the observatory. But we really don't say where is exactly it, where it's at. They just put the location into her Hit Boy. So now she comes out. She's like 1,000 bottle caps to anyone who shoots down this ghoul. So now everyone's in action. But of course, the ghoul is just nasty.
And he's just eating shots like nothing.
Like it's nothing. And he's popping. His guns are just nasty. He's blowing holes, paws into like 2 people at once, taking off heads. He's really just wrecking.
Well, that's one thing we get later in the content is they start talking about is Rich just frozen?
Yeah, Rich is frozen with a thumbs up. He's talking.
Just keep going. Yeah.
He'll come back eventually. They talk about how someone gets shot. It's the guy. Maximus gets shot at some point, and later they're in another vault and they're pulling the bullet out, but it's a tooth. He gets shot with like a rotten tooth, and you're like, and the doctor's like, man, they're shooting people with whatever they can shoot people with these days. But Coop's bullets, man, Coop's bullets are more like they're like these special bullets that have other stuff in them that are explosive, or they're armor piercing, or they're. But also, I got a question, Chris, and this Rich, you jump in too. I have a question.
Go ahead.
In hindsight, Chris, you're not gonna know. So this is a spoiler for Chris and anyone who hasn't watched the content. Rich, later in the content, when Coop is taking on like a whole trove of these mech armor suits, and he knows about the one thing that you can do to exploit them pretty easily.
Right.
Why doesn't he do this here with Maximus? And
he does do it. He slashes.
No, you don't know what I'm talking about.
No, I don't.
You don't know what I'm talking about. Rich knows what I'm talking about, though. Why doesn't he do that here?
I don't think he really wanted to. He just wanted the doctor, and I don't think he really wanted to mess up. What was that?
Chris knows the reason, even if he didn't see it.
Okay.
Reasons.
Oh. There you go. Reasons.
Reasons, yeah.
Always come back to reasons.
Always come back to reasons, yeah. So while all this action is happening, here comes Maximus flying in because, I guess these suits don't need jump packs, but they got arm thrusters. So why you need jump packs for?
It's Iron Man.
It's Iron Man. So he comes in, he's like, I'm trying to be all heroic.
Jebediah's.
Eh?
The big Iron Man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Jebediah, whatever his name was.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Jebediah, yeah. So he comes in, and he's like trying to be all heroic, all brotherhood of steel. He's like, listen, citizens, you need to stop and, blah, blah, blah. So that's when he gets into the conflict, or they get in a little negotiation. Again, he gets in a conflict with the ghoul. The ghoul disables the suit, and he went flying off all over the place, unable to control, and lands off somewhere in the next town over.
Pretty comical.
But also, with this being said, they bring the doctor in, and the woman goes,
you need a new leg.
You need a new leg. And she's like, give me the foot. Yeah, give me the foot. So she goes looking for it. They're like, I don't know where things are at. You keep moving stuff. Anyway, so they grab this device. It's like a tubular thing, big tubular thing. Looks like a bucket. And when I tell you kind of some of the most graphic ways to get a prosthetic limb, man, it ground his leg up.
Yep.
And then attached itself.
But the thing that didn't make sense is and we see this later as the content plays out throughout the episode. It grinds his leg up to make a connection, and it does that really well. I mean, they really thought about that. And then she just kind of corkscrews on this kind of duck foot, and that's fine too. And he can walk around, but they never cauterize the wound or seal it off. So he's just bleeding through the whole thing the whole time.
Yeah. It cauterizes inside, it seals and contains.
No, he was bleeding through. When he's down with Lucy, you see his foot all bloody.
They were in a rush, man. They were trying to get away from being hunted.
We can assume there's extra steps to that.
They missed some steps. Okay. They probably didn't hit him with a stem.
She comes out with this box, right? She comes out with this hodgepodge box. It's like me and my McFarlane action figure parts, and the box is labeled Jim's limbs.
Yeah,
and that's what she just grabs, whichever one was closest to her hand, which kind of eats the dude's foot up.
The future is so far advanced. Like, this is what they got. They had a limb company making limbs for whatever you need. It's going to hurt putting it on, but it is what it is. You'll be able to have that foot
because it doesn't cauterize the wound. But
steps. We're not worried about that right now. So they book it and they make it, but so far they make it to look like a Russian satellite. If I'm not mistaken, Russian or Chinese, down satellite.
Yeah.
They make it way there. The doctor was like, listen, I'm not going to make it. You just need my head. You don't need all of me. Just take my head to wherever you need to go. Show them my head and they'll let you in.
Well, they'll let you in because what Lucy's trying to do is she wants to get her father. And the person who wants the doctor just happens to be the same woman who took Lucy's dad. And she knows this at this point. And so the doctor seems to know this too. We don't know why the doctor knows so much. And so, but he does, and he knows a lot about everybody. And so he says, look, Lucy, take my head because my body's not going to make it. And I know you have the moral compass to sit here trying to drag my body. And I'm telling you, don't do it. So you take my head, it'll be a lot lighter. And this will be your bargaining chip when you get to the observatory to get your dad back.
Right. So now Lucy had the gut up because she pulled out a portable saw, and
which was like, actually the doctor had it.
The doctor had it.
Yeah, the doctor had it. Yes, the doctor had it. And she pretty much had to gut up and come to the realization, which she's been doing pretty much since she got out the vault. Like, I gotta be I gotta be a little bit stronger now. I gotta do things that I wouldn't normally do in the vault. So she cut the doctor's head off. We don't get to see that part, but we got kind of imagine how that went.
Yeah.
Pretty traumatizing. Now we're on to episode 3.
Wait. We missed a part. I think it happens as this. Maybe it's episode 3. I could be jumping. The ghoul, Coop, stabs the doctor's well-trained dog in the gut in the conflict, right? In the little battle that happens in the town. We see Coop's not actually a terrible person because you can't have someone hurting an animal and then not spend the rest of the content thinking they're a horrible person. But what Coop does is he injects stims, the health pack into the dog's wound, and the dog heals quickly, comes back, and the dog and Coop kind of companion up, and Coop's kind of using the dog at this point to lead him to the scientist, the doctor.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that might have been at the beginning of episode 3. I was about to say season.
Okay.
But yeah, so we get there. The doctor, the ghoul, Coop, and the dog actually catch up to Lucy. And
they come across the headless body first, right?
Right. He comes across the headless body first, and there's only but so many places to go. And the dog, obviously tracking, just keeps on following the scent of the now head of his former master.
Right.
Eventually they catch up, and there's a bit of a standoff. He wants to head to collect the bounty. She needs to head to get her dad back.
Well, and then by the time Coop catches up with her, she's actually lost the head.
Right. That's right. She lost the head because a monster from the pond, from the lagoon, comes up and tries to eat eat her, excuse me,
Yeah.
and ends up eating the head.
Right.
So now it's in the stomach of the monster. She
What
ends
do
up
you call it? A gooper? Grouper?
a goop. I don't remember what that
Gupper?
thing was.
It's a
Could have been.
big fish man thing. I mean, a big fish
It
man
looks kind
thing.
of like is it a newt? I want to say a salamander.
Kind of like a salmon colored newt. Yeah, but it
Yeah,
has like a human torso and stuff. But it's
yeah.
also massive. It's
And
like the
also you
size of
saw inside the mouth it has like fingers in the mouth.
so weird, man. Everything about this
Bro.
content is weird.
It's
Oh,
kind of is
man.
weird.
It was good. Anyway, but we don't see that until like later on. So where are we at? Where are we at? Where are we at? So pretty much that's where that lies up at.
So then Coop starts using. So they fight. Coop gets the upper hand on her and decides to use Lucy as bait because he
Right.
comes to realization of where the head is. So he basically ties, you know, a big anchor around Lucy's neck, hooks her up to a rig, and then kicks her into the pond where he can roll her back up and kick her down a few times. She thinks she's being tortured, but he's really just fishing.
Yes. Yes. Um Maximus, new squire, childhood bully, Thaddeus. Oh yes. So Thaddeus becomes the new squire and gets sent out.
Oh yeah. Thaddeus, right?
Thaddeus, who used to be Maximus's bully,
Right.
um, ends up becoming the squire. Then they're going to hunt down, well, not hunt down. They're going to track
The head.
Titus, who they think Titus is, so they can continue tracking ahead. They end up catching up to. He ends up catching up to Titus, who, mind you, had a little bit of a hard time because he had to repair the suit. He had to jump out the suit to repair it, and had to fight some raiders or some
Right.
regular folk.
Maximus.
Yeah, Maximus, correct. And within that, he had to come in terms with himself because he was getting stomped on for a quick second. We got some flashbacks of him in training and as a kid and so on and so forth. And he had to come to terms like, yo, I got to toughen up. He ends up pretty much squishing the head of one guy because the back end of the suit was open. He got one arm in. He got the head of the leader in with the suit and just squished that joint like a grape. It's pretty gruesome. Pretty gruesome stuff. From that, everyone else saw it. Well, the last guy saw that and was like, ah, and just booked it. He was like, I'm out.
Yep.
So he ends up getting back in the suit. He catches up to Titus catches up to him, and he's pretty much now has to take on the moniker of Titus. I'm sorry, not Titus.
Thaddeus.
Thaddeus, excuse me.
Right.
Thaddeus catches up to him, and he has to pretend that he's still Titus because, as far as they know, Titus is still alive, obviously. And Maximus, he told, died because of a rad bear.
Right. So just to clarify a little bit, so Maximus was the squire of
Titus.
Thaddeus, who died fighting the bear. Maximus.
No.
I'm sorry.
Maximus was the. Yeah, so you getting confused
Titus.
too.
Yeah. Titus. So Maximus was the squire of Titus. Titus fought the bear. Maximus let him die. Maximus is pretending to be Titus. Let's not use the word Titus anymore, though. We just use Maximus. So even though we know he's pretending, Thaddeus is now Maximus's squire, thinking he's following Titus.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
And actually, what's really nice about this character relationship we watch play out is, like you said, Thaddeus was the bully of Maximus, but Thaddeus thinks he's following Titus, so he has all these little scenes and moments where, Maximus is a much better person than Titus, but there's a voice modulator, so you don't know who's in the suit.
Right.
But he's way more human. He's way more empathetic. And so he forms a relationship with Thaddeus where Thaddeus starts telling him things about, how he felt about bullying Maximus. And he only did it because he was being bullied by everybody.
Right.
And so he managed to convince his bullies to let's bully the new guy instead. And then he was able to be like the leader of the bully clique. And he was sad that Maximus died before Maximus ever had a chance to shift to bullying the next new guy, So it was interesting to see their relationship play out for a while until we get to where that goes.
Yeah. And then from there, I mean, they have their little heart to heart. From there, we're pretty much episode 4 at this point. The ghouls. Lucy's now prisoner of the bounty hunter, excuse me, Coop, and they're pretty much walking. And Coop is sitting there like, "Hey, listen, you got to drink, but she knows that everything has radiation." So she's kind of fighting the urge to drink, and then you see
right. Well, what happens is, sorry to jump in. So what happens is the ghoul is using Lucy as bait to get the fish dude, right?
Well, no,
And this is before they go walking. And so what happens is when the fish guy bites the hook to drag Lucy in, Lucy manages to get away from him for a moment. And then the fish guy starts attacking the ghoul, and then Lucy throws the ghoul's vials into the fish guy's mouth and crushes. So if you're a ghoul, you have to take these inhaler puffs in order to not lose your mind and be like a zombie.
Yeah, go
and
feral.
so feral, exactly. And so because all of his vials were completely destroyed in this altercation with the fish guy, what the ghoul says is, listen, it takes this creature a long time to actually digest its food, so let's leave, we'll come back to get the head later. And so then they go on this side mission. It's like literally a side mission in the video game, where they're going on a side mission because the ghoul now needs vials in order to prevent himself from going crazy. And so now while they're trekking across, the desert, he's drinking water or pouring it out, and she's literally dying of thirst. And they keep coming across all these radioactive pools, and he's like taunting her. Right?
Yeah, and she takes a drink out of the worst one, the one out of an oil pan. It looked like, I was like, man,
it looked green.
Yeah. Yeah. So they make it to the grocery store, which is we don't know what it is exactly at first, but pretty much he trades her for other things.
Oh, wait. A great moment happens before they get to the store, right? She cuts off his finger. And she bites off his finger,
yes.
right? He's like choking her or whatever. She bites off his finger, and then he lifts her up, takes out his knife, and really calmly cuts off her finger. And he says, "This is probably the most honest exchange we've had so far."
Yeah.
And then they just keep going.
Keep going.
So she's missing a finger by the time they get to this place.
Yes. So they get there. An exchange. Well, the negotiation happens. She goes into the building. She follows a what do they call them, Mr. The floating robot joints, the iRobots.
Yeah.
He brings her on further into the facility. You see people trapped up. You see ghouls in coolers. You got one woman constantly saying her name, so she doesn't forget. Other people,
her name is Martha too, which would have stopped both Superman and Batman in their tracks.
Martha, my name is Martha. My name is Martha. All the other
before they get to the ladies, the robot's really nice, right? And so Lucy,
very polite.
Lucy's like, "Whoa, I thought you were gonna like, sell me on the market as a sex object or something." And the robot's like, "How disgusting! Let me fix that finger." Fixes her finger, puts a disgusting looking finger in place of her missing finger. But she's got
had like a drawer of fingers. It's like, what?
Wow, a drawer of appendages. Luckily it was a finger. And so he goes, "No, yes, we want to get you all fixed up so I can harvest your organs."
Yeah, right? Yeah. Just before that, there was a negotiation of vials. And then she did So there was a negotiation of vials with the two, I guess, the bosses,
right?
And he was like, "Yeah, we can do 60 vials." Blah blah blah. So they bring him back, wheel her back, because he did give her a little bit of a sedative at first, which kind of made her loopy. And brought her back, and now the sedative is kind of wearing off, and she's like coming to the realization that, oh, I'm about to get my organs harvested.
Right.
Well, not really realization. There was a big saw coming out her chest. So that will wake anybody up, right? So now she gets her way out of that, disables the robot.
With a defibrillator.
Yeah, with a defibrillator, which, I guess. But anyway, this is
managed to catch the saws with a defibrillator, which I guess is just always charged up instead of needing to charge it up. and instead of like ripping her hands apart, she managed to just catch the thing that had the saws.
She has the greatest armor you can ever have, and it's called plot armor.
Plot
Okay,
armor. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry.
so she ends up making her way back to the two gentlemen with the robot, which she was kind of guiding. So it was still operational, but it was not operational. But she filled up all the vials of sedatives with abstracto. No, I forgot the name of it, but it was like a drain cleaner. It pretty much goes in negotiation with the guys and shoots one dart into the cushion. It starts deteriorating. Like, yo, I mean business here. She was like, oh, I want to get out of here. It's like, okay, cool, no problem. She had her way out. And then she's like, oh, let's push this envelope a little further. All those ghouls over there, we need to release them.
And they say, okay, no problem.
Yeah. And then she had to push it a little. This is the part that kind of was like annoys me. I'm like, you had it, but let's keep going. Let's press our luck some more. It's like, I want to release all of them. And they were like, listen, whoa, I'm not sure you want to do that. I don't think you understand what's happening here. End up hitting that button, and all those ghouls were feral. And what do?
And they do what a feral ghoul gonna do.
They gonna try to eat some meat.
Hey, yo.
Hey.
The nearest piece of meat was Lucy and the two dudes on the couch. So everyone's getting decimated. They start beating up on the robot as well because it was slightly active. And yeah, Lucy ends up getting away. The ghoul goes in. Actually, no, ghoul does not go in. Take that back. Sorry. Lucy ends up getting away. She gives a couple of vials to the ghoul. He ends up bringing himself back up and going into the facility to get more vials. Ends up taking care of the rest of the ghouls. And no, wait, who killed off the ghouls?
Lucy managed to kill all the ghouls.
All the ghouls, right?
Nobody else is alive.
Yes.
So she's just gonna leave. But before she leaves, she takes a handful of the vials and she walks to the, her feet are like in the face of the ghoul who's passed out on the ground because he's about to turn or whatever. And she goes, unlike you, I still have a moral compass kind of code, and drops the vials at his face. And then she walks off. So the ghoul, Coop, eventually takes a hit of the vial and he goes inside, I assume in quest of more vials, but also just kind of sit down and breathe for a second.
Mm.
And what's cool about that is all throughout the content, we're getting his kind of flashbacks. It's almost like, yes, Lucy is the protagonist, but really Coop is as much the protagonist of the overarching story as anyone really is.
Right.
And so we get a really hefty flashback scene of his because he pops on this videotape of him when he was in the movies, right? We see the scene of his play out, but then we see all this other narrative. And we're about to get a ton of his backstory. Right, and we've been getting it in pieces all throughout the thing.
Right, because you got Coop, who's kind of the face of Vault Tech and getting vaults and everything like that. But then you come to find out that his wife is an executive within Vault Tech.
Like real executive.
Yeah, real high up type exec, making decisions type exec. Yeah, so we get that the government comes in, sees Coop all high up on his bender, because he was definitely taking more than just those vials. He was popping any pills.
Everything.
He was like, yo, give me it all. So they take him back to, I guess, the head sheriff or whatever of the government. The government,
yes. Of that town.
Of that town. And he ends up breaking free because, this is the ghoul. You can't contain the ghoul. No one puts the ghoul in the corner. And he ends up blasting the two sheriffs. And then pretty much asking, how did that face get on the wall, which is the main raider. What was her name?
Moldova, but it's a wanted poster he sees when they're going in, right?
Right. And then we get a quick flashback of seeing her back before the war, before the bomb dropped. And, well, that was kind of the end of that. Right. In the next episode, we get more of her. Yeah, that's pretty much that. That's episode 4. Yo, this shit. Sorry, didn't mean to curse.
Rich is frozen again.
Yeah. Am I? Anyway, we keep going. We keep rolling. Keep rolling with the punches. We do it live. We episode 5. We go into the past. We're looking more of Maximus and his unintentional band of heroes, which is just Maximus and Thaddeus.
Right.
You find double cross. You're getting double crossed by Thaddeus because he ends up exposing himself, being like, "Hey, I'm not Titus. I'm actually Maximus." And Thaddeus is like, "Oh wait, what's going on?" Blah blah blah. So he takes the head.
And Thaddeus, unlike Maximus, actually read all of the instruction manuals, so he knows how to. He knows that. And also, these suits of armor are really stupid, right? You put one key in the back, or you turn the crank and pull out. Why would the battery be exposed for anyone just to walk up behind the thing and take the battery out of it?
You can't be too powerful, Jack.
Have you ever played the game, sir? It's just what it is. We don't question it. We just get into the suit and do things.
You're right. I apologize.
So Thaddeus, before he getting his foot crushed, mind you, he outmaneuvers, takes out the battery takes out the fusion core, and now he's dead. Maximus is dead in the water, stuck in the suit, can't get out, can't do anything. Which I feel like is another design flaw. Which you come to find out there were many with the T45s.
Right.
But
was this a T60 though?
This was a T60, yes.
Oh yeah.
But as we saw with the Ghoul, he was like, I wonder if they fixed some of those bad design flaws, and apparently this had to be one of them.
Right.
And they didn't. So now Maximus is stuck in the suit. Lucy comes across him, ends up getting him out the suit. Yeah, the suit's kind of like just dead in the water because they can't do anything. They kind of have their own little diet. Oh, Lucy's also sick because she has rat poisoning from drinking that nasty water. All right, so now he had to convince her to get him out the suit. It's like, I have some rat away, and I'll help you out with your sickness. All that happens, helps out Lucy. Lucy gets up and still wants to head on and find the head, pretty much. And I found it interesting that he was able to move that suit, which had to weigh tons, by himself, and kind of like push it over to the side and then cover it up. I'm like, how did you do that?
I was confused. The logistics of the way he maneuvers the suit, because when Titus dies, we just cut to the suit is standing up, Titus is out of it, and the back of the suit is open. Yeah. Right? Now Titus died face up.
Down. He was sitting down against a log or something.
And so, and then the next time we see him get out of the suit, he's literally got it hoisted up by chains.
Well, that's how it is in the game. In the game, when you're with that lady, Mama, whatever her name is, your suit is like in a rig.
Right. Well, and the first time we see the suits in like episode 1, with the soldiers out of it, they're literally rigged up on winches and chains and stuff. Right. And so when he's trying to fix the problem with the suit in the town, because he's got like a navigation problem or whatever, some problem with the internal mechanism, he's got it hoisted up. But now, but this time there's no hoist, and he's managed to drop it and drag it at least 10 to 12 feet into a 4-foot drop.
I don't know. I had issues with that too, but I'm like, you know what, Rich, don't focus on this stuff. Just keep going on with the content.
You're right.
So now they're trekking on foot. They're just trying to make their way to the head, trying to find a head, or trying to get a way to get to the heads, whatever. So they're having dialogue, talking about their past and so on and so forth. They come across a bridge, and there are strangers at the other end of this bridge.
Yep.
Now they're just like, hey, do you have a gun? Like, no. Do you have a gun? Of course not. It's like, okay, put your hands up. Let's just walk past each other, and we'll just go on about our ways. Of course, it's the wasteland. Someone has a gun. They both had guns. But this is where Titus gets shot, but then he blasts a hole in both of the other two, the cannibals at that. They were cannibals. And now
he doesn't call them cannibals. He calls them
was it not Ravagers? That's from something else.
Raiders?
No, I don't think he called them Raiders. There was another name for them.
There was another name. But then she was like, what is that? And he goes, that eat people.
Yeah,
like cannibals.
You see,
And that's where he got shot with the
tooth.
The tooth.
Yeah.
The rotten tooth.
So they ended up making their way to a medical facility so they can treat his wounds because he ended up playing down his wounds.
Right.
He said it was a graze, but actually was a full impact, and he was bleeding. So they make it to this medical facility, which then drops them into a hole, and now it seems like they're trapped. But it ends up now they're in a vault,
and they're in Vault 4.
Right, they're in
which
Vault
is a
4.
very significant vault because Vault 4 is the one that Coop and his wife were a part of in promoting. Right.
Yes.
Vault 4 is the vault that's on all the commercials, and Vault 4 is a vault that's specifically being run by scientists instead of anyone else. Right.
Right.
And
this is also from Shady what?
Shady Sands.
Shady Sands.
Shady Sands, which Corey mentioned in the chat earlier. The Shady Sands storyline plays out in Fallout 2.
Right. Yes. So now they're in Shady Sands. They get the help they needed, and it was kind of a weird interaction in there because I felt like they were drugged, but you get that openness again that was happening where it was like, do you want to have sex? And then he starts explaining how sex works with guys, and she was like, no, I kind of know how that works, but
I have a cousin.
Yeah. I have a cousin, which again the cousin stuff comes back.
Well, he seemed scared that something weird happens to some guys.
Yeah, not
and
him.
the way he described it, you describe it right now. She's like, no, that's kind of what happens to all guys. And he's like, well, listen, I can't do it anyway because I'm part of the Brotherhood.
Yeah. So they ended up recovering in a Vault 4, getting their energy back up and everything like that, eating. But as they're doing that, they're kind of like noticing weird things happening.
Well, what's interesting is he goes from being on the hyper paranoid about everything, and she's like, no, you don't understand how the vaults work, until he becomes real lax and like, this is awesome, and she becomes hyper paranoid. So they swap roles as the episode goes on. Right.
And they're kind of looking around. You see one guy with an ear on his head. You see a chick with glowing eyes and kind of like gill things coming in tentacles, and a lot of weird people. And then you see the overseer, who has one eye, who's a full-on cyclops. Not like he was missing an eye. His eye was smack dab in the middle of his head.
But he still kind of like had divots where the other ones should be.
Yeah.
Really odd.
Yeah. So he's coming. He's trying to be friendly about everything, trying to lay down the rules. Like, hey, you have full reign of everything. Just stay off of level 12. Which Lucy was like, that's weird. Why would we need to stay off of level 12?
Right. And why would you draw our attention to it?
Right. So they bring Lucy in. I'm sorry, Goosey at this point, because he messes up her name. Yeah. So they bring Goosey in. And he's kind of just like, they're kind of just talking things through, and he's kind of describing the vault and the people within the vault, and he kind of sounds like
a racist.
Like, those people and their culture. Like I don't. It gets pretty wild pretty quick.
Right. Because what's weird about Vault 4 is what we find out is Vault 4 lets surface dwellers into their vaults.
Yes.
And to live among them. And what they seem to not like to do is release the surface dwellers.
Yes. So, excuse me. Maximus is now fully like almost being sold to. He gets his first room. He gets his own pit boy. He goes to his room, and he's like, he has a robe. He got a hot shower. He got slippers. He got a welcome basket, and oysters. Oysters. He got it all night. He's sitting there watching the TV, which just shows the scenery, but he's enjoying it.
It's like a black and white waterfall. And he's loving it. And
he's enjoying it with his popcorn. So he's fully sold on this. He was like, yo, this is a soft life, and I want this. Yeah. But now Lucy was like, I need to find out what's going on at 12. She gets to 12, sees people, she sees a video of a woman giving birth, and it's the mutants that tried to eat her, and they start eating the woman.
Right.
And now she goes further on into it, and she sees more pregnant women in cryostasis. And
Right.
Next thing you know, here comes the doctor with the ear on his head, checking on. The door was left open because Lucy is not being cautious. Door was left open. And he was afraid that one of them escaped, and she makes a noise. He backs up. He was like, "Oh, let me run out of here." She thought he was in the clear. Nope, alarms are blaring. It was interesting how quickly people got there so quick.
Oh,
But
they were just waiting outside the door.
yeah, they just
Like
teleported
how
there.
she managed to get in there without being recognized, and how they all managed to be there instantly was
Yeah, yeah. This is a level that no one's supposed to be on, except for maybe
right.
the doctors. But anyway, so they end up detaining Lucy.
Well, so
Oh, actually, no. Before that, there was the meeting that was
yeah.
yeah, there was a meeting or a gathering that was not mandatory. It was optional. And you
It
see,
was the surface dwellers
right.
ritual.
And there was one of the doctors or scientists was walking the other way. And he was like, "Yeah, they get a little bit too rambunctious for my taste." And just he was like, "Nah, I'm gonna cut out." So they get there, and they're like, "We're gonna, pay homage to what happened and our great fire holder or whatever her name was."
Right.
And then people just started taking their tops off, just full on chesticles out and everything, and then putting ash on their faces. And then we come to find out this is the ashes of the people that died in Shady Sands. It's like,
Right.
oh, okay. And now we're talking about taking in the blood,
Right.
and this is
And
where
there's
Lucy was like, I'm gonna have to get away from this.
yeah, well, they're drinking blood, they're rubbing, the ashes, the people on their faces and body, and then the real takeaway is the woman, the person they're giving homage to, is the leader of Shady Sands,
Right.
and her face is on a flag, and we see that it's Moldover again, right? So we've seen Moldover is the one who went into Vault 33, took Lucy's dad. Moldover is the lady on the wanted poster that the ghoul is after. Moldover is the one who the scientist's head is being brought to. Moldover is, for some reason, very important to the people of Shady Sands. And this is where Lucy's like, yo. And she bounces because it's starting to get a little erotic and hot in there, but it's
Yeah.
also because she sees this woman's face again, and this is where she goes, I need to know what's on level 12 and what's being hidden from me.
Right. So she goes to level 12.
Yeah.
They alert the guards, they capture her. And now it's this whole theatrical thing of, hey, we're going to execute you pretty much. Like, we told you not to go on 12. Why did you have to go on 12? We have to get rid of you now. But while this is happening, we see Lucy walking past Maximus, and he gets snapped out of his little trance.
Right.
And
They
he was like,
blindfold her and they're dragging her down the hall.
right. So now he's like, okay, well, I need to save Lucy. So they go through the whole thing like, yes, we're going to execute you. We're going to execute you by releasing you back into the wilds. Mind you, he's holding a whole sword like he's about to behead her. And it was just very theatrical, just unnecessary. Like, you could have just been like, yeah, we're going to have to let you go. But they just made a whole scene of it, a whole thing. And they pretty much cut her bonds like really slow. It's like, not, this needs to be sharpened because the sword was dull. But while
And
this is happening,
breaking it.
yeah,
Did you make it this far, Chris?
Say again?
Did you make it this far?
No, I'm not. That's,
Okay,
yeah.
so this is good. So if you're not following us, this is when you should definitely chime in so we can clarify it for anyone else. The fours of people watching this.
Yeah. So they release her, but now Maximus is now snapped out of his. He forgot to mention that he saw a fusion core, which was powering their whole vault.
Mm-hmm.
And he was trying to get it, but then the weird lady kind of pulled him away. And then he was like, I know what I need to do. He goes, gets his core, puts it in the back of his suit, because they brought his suit back down, and goes in to rescue. But at this point, it's like, she was like, wait. They were going to let me go with like 3 months worth of supplies. But now the supplies are messed up. A lot of people are hurt. And it's like, well, sorry. And they
we'll
leave.
Go.
Yeah. Now Lucy's kind of guilt tripping Maximus because he took their only means of power, which means the
so
whole
they have
vault die.
they have about 2 months of auxiliary power before their whole vault is going to collapse.
Right. So they guilt trip him. Well, she trips him a little bit, but not so much because this is the type of person Maximus is, because he wants to be kind of that hero to bring good to the wasteland through the Brotherhood. So they give the core back, which was interesting that they just drop it down the chute with no fear of, I don't know.
Yeah, you just drop a radioactive core down the chute. Right.
But whatever. So they end up giving the core back, and they go on about their ways without a suit again. And then from there, where we at? Trap? Nope, we're not. That's episode 6. Also we're doing flashbacks to the vault, mind you. Lucy's Lucy's brother was her brother.
So Lucy's brother, yeah. What's his name? Norm.
Yes.
Yeah. So Lucy's brother's Norm is clever, and what he doesn't like is the lady who's taken over as the overseer after Hank left. He doesn't trust her, so he starts kind of like digging at threads. He goes back to Vault 32 to inspect it, finds mutilated bodies, decimation, and it seems like they had actually died out over 2 years ago.
Yes,
and so he's like,
it seemed, just real quick, they seem to have, they pretty much killed each other. It looked like they just started attacking each other.
Like they had figured something out. There's literally the writings on the wall in blood. They're like, management is to blame or something. We know what's in this. And so what he comes to the realization is, though, that the Ravengers who come down from the surface had nothing to do with Vault 32 being completely destroyed and killed and mutilated. Like that happened way before.
Right.
And so that was being kept a secret. And he said there's something odd about how every time someone from Vault 31 is reintroduced to Vault 33, they're always nominated to be the overseer.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's putting these pieces together that he doesn't like. And he's taking his friend with him, the big guy, with him on these quests.
Become stepdaddy.
Exactly. Well, yes, that's a whole other thing. Now, the lady with the eye patch, where was she from originally? Was she from 31?
No, I think she was originally from 33. Oh no, she was from 31, but she didn't have like much memory of 31.
Right, not much. Oh, not much memory. Right.
Yeah.
No, she was right because Hank was from 31, and so she's from. Was she from 31? Yeah, I guess she would have had to been 31.
Yeah, she said she wasn't from 33 because she was talking about. Do you remember anything different from 31? She was like, maybe the popcorn was different or something like that.
The mashed potatoes were better.
Mashed potatoes, yes.
Yeah. So you got 3 vaults that are interactive with each other, although they're all cut off from the other, but you can open them in times of crisis or in times of need to communicate with the other vault. So 31, 32, 33 are all interwoven. And so what the brother is piecing together is what happened to Vault 32 and what the hell is going on with Vault 31.
Mm.
And so that's kind of his backstory, which if it doesn't play out in this episode, it's the next one it plays out in.
Yeah. So now they're 32 or 33 takes initiative to clean up 32 and then split the population. Some will live in 33. I'm sorry. Some will live in 32. Some will live in 33. And, some people are not to, actually one guy in particular who's like, nah, I don't want to do this. The big guy.
Yeah, big guy.
I don't even know what his name is.
Woody.
But Woody, yes. He was very, like, no, I don't want to do this, blah, blah, blah. But then, security comes up, which is very convenient that they pop up then, but they didn't pop up.
It's very odd. You go from having no security to having just guys posted.
Yeah. So anyway, so they end up cleaning up the vault. But before they fully end up cleaning it, doing the full swap over, Norm goes over and tries to figure out what's going on with 31. Finds a way in. He found out that his dad is from 31. Find a way to get into 31. He gets in, and it cuts off at pretty much he sees something and someone talking.
Yeah, that's right. And, so he sends a message saying that he's the overseer, right? Who was originally from 31, and the message he sends to the people in 31 is, "Hey, I'm Overseer Betty. My mission has been compromised. It's not going well. I need to be readmitted back into Vault 31." And the person on the other end says, "Come here immediately. I'll let you in," essentially. And so Norm goes to the entrance of 31, and it opens, and he goes in, and it closes with him in there. And then, he sees something that really kind of catches his eye, and that's the end of that episode. Which otherwise, the rest of that episode is pretty much flashbacks, right? Where we're getting Coop.
Yeah, flashbacks with Coop, and you see Coop. You get more of a Moldover, and what she plays in the past.
Right. So what we come to realize at this point is, in the flashbacks with Coop, we see 3 major players. We see Coop before he turns into the ghoul again. We see that his wife is very much she's one of the people high up the food chain of what's going on.
Yeah, Barb, I believe her name is.
Barb, yeah. We come to understand that Barb. We come to understand that this company is responsible for the nuclear bombs, or at least they suggest if it doesn't happen naturally, we can take action to make it happen. Mm-hmm. And this is devastating for Coop. Coop is like, his whole world is just coming in and out. We're introduced to Hank in this episode. And so we're like, whoa, what? Hank is 220 years old, plus he's like 30 or 40 in this. So he's like, how is Hank 250? We're introduced to Moldover. So she's from this time period. She's not a ghoul in the content. So we're like, she's 250? How are all these people living 200 plus years, right? We don't know. But we're about to have that answer really quickly, because this one guy who's leading the mission, who's leading the tech, has a plan. His plan is, the way we win is make time on our side. And so he has created a technology that basically can let you freeze yourself into cryostasis, and you can wake up whenever you want, whenever your pod is set to bring you out. And we kind of come to realize in that episode that what's been going on is these scientists and doctors, because they pitch it, they say we have 150, 200 vaults spread out throughout America, and everyone can take a vault, and you can create a society that you want. There are no rules. Whatever you want to do in the vault goes. And so they have all these crazy ideas how to do it. And so what we find out is that in some of the vaults, like in Vault 4, because when Lucy goes to Vault 4, she sees all these cryo chambers. She doesn't know what it is. She thinks they're experiments.
Right.
And what Hank's kid is about to find in Vault 31 is, again, all these cryo chambers. Now, his kid finds out instantly what's in the cryo chambers from basically a giant brain and a roller skate.
What was his name? Bob? I forgot his name, his character's name, because he was also from the past too.
The brain, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, isn't he the guy who had the idea?
Yeah, he was the guy that had the idea. Yeah.
Yeah. So he basically puts himself in a thing with roller skates. So what's happening is all these scientists and all these rich people who had enough money to fund the thing, or the scientists who were put in positions, or the bureaucrats who were leading the company, they've all put themselves in cryogenic pods where they wake up and then they're integrated into the society. So Hank, who's from like 200 years earlier, put himself in a pod where he'd be woken up 200 years later or whatever, so he can integrate into Vault 32 or 33 and kind of take over the thing as the overseer. And so we find out that that's kind of how the vaults have been being run.
Right. And come to find, that's what Barb was trying so hard to get, because throughout the whole flashbacks there was talks about, we can't have animals because they can't eat meat. We're not going to have meat. So this is all plant-based society for the most part. And she was talking about how important it is to get into one of the best vaults, and I think 31 was the vault that she was trying to get her family into.
Well, I don't know about 31 being the best vault. Seems like the best vaults might have been like Vault 4 or 1. You know, what's Vault 1, 2, and 3? Like, you would think that that's maybe the better of the vaults. And we haven't seen that. We've seen 2 societies of vaults.
True.
Not even.
I know there was. I'm just going off of the lore. There's most of the vaults were experiments where they're trying to see how people will react to certain things, whether they were psychologically experimenting on them, chemically, or they were like mutated or whatever. And then they had one, maybe 2 control ones where they didn't do anything to them; they just let them live.
Right. And so we learned that in Vault 4 was run by scientists.
Right.
And left unchecked, what happened where the scientists started experimenting on the people, and they created the mutant fish creature, half man, half gecko thing was created by the scientists messing with nuclear radiation and chemical compounds.
Yes, which the one that actually wreaked havoc in Vault 4 was the great grandfather of the overseer.
Right. Exactly.
So, yeah. Yeah, so we get all that flashback. Forgot to say that Titus no, Norm, sorry. Not Norm. Oh, I'm forgetting his freaking name. Titus.
Maximus?
Yeah, Titus. No, Maximus. No, it's Titus. Thaddeus. Why can't I say
the soldier?
Okay, Thaddeus. He ends up before he ends up disabling Maximus. He takes the head. Well, after he disables him, he takes the head. He's kind of making his way through the wastelands, and he meets up with the snake oil salesman that people were warning Lucy about. So he ends up meeting him, and he was like, "Listen, my foot is messed up." He takes his shoe off, takes his boot off his sock. His toe is just dangling. It looks like it might be getting a little bit gangrenous. And he was like, "I got something for you, but it's going to cost you." And I forgot what he traded for it. He traded the fusion core. Yeah. He gave him the fusion core, and the dude just cooked up some chemicals. And first he was about to double cross him. Then he was like, "Listen, you double cross me, you're just going to die." So he gives him the stems. He takes it. It instantly heals up his foot, which was a thing of miracles. But then he was like, it kind of gave like an ominous kind of tone to it, like, "Hey, let's see what you turn out to be." And he just books it. Comes out, Thaddeus goes to a radio station because he has to make contact with the Brotherhood and tell them that he has the head. Goes to a radio station. This is where, once again, Maximus and Lucy all intersect. They just so happen to make their way there. I don't even know what made them go, but end up going there. There's traps everywhere.
He's still tracking it.
Oh, that's right. He's tracking.
Lucy had put in like episode 1 or 2 or whatever, after she cut the head off, she put a tracker up the dude's nose that's hooked to her Pip-Boy. So she's been tracking it ever since.
Been tracking. They make it to the radio station. There's booby traps everywhere because the DJ at the radio station plays classical music, which no one in the wasteland has sophisticated taste for, and they try to stop him. Which,
not really classical music either. It's some hillbilly on a violin or something, but it's
classical for the wasteland.
Okay.
So Thaddeus draws his gun. He's telling him to back off. He kind of missteps into one of the traps, catches an arrow through the neck, but he's still alive. So he pulls the arrow out. They come to the realization, you're a ghoul. Yeah. And, the Brotherhood's now on the way because he already sent the signal out. He's like, you need to go. Maximus like, you need to get up out of here because they're just going to kill you. Yeah. And so he books it, gives him the head. Lucy still needs the head in order to get to where she needs to go. But Maximus also needs the head. So Maximus comes with the plan, gets one of the dead bodies, chops the head off, mashes the face up. And it's like, you go get your father back. I'll meet up with you later at some point in time. I have to go deal with the Brotherhood. So he gets brought back to the Brotherhood. They find out this head's alive. They're about to execute him. Dane steps in once again. He was like, "Listen, he did what he had to do, but he's loyal to the cause. Don't kill him." So they don't kill him. He becomes.
Dane also admits that they were the one who put the razor blades in their shoe at that point.
Right. So they end up not killing him. They bring him back into the ranks. He's now a squire again. Now they know where they have to go, though. They know they have to go to the observatory. That's where the head is. That's where the tech that's within the head. The what do they call it? The weapon, the old age weapon. I forgot. But that's where they need to go to obtain the head, which would give them access to the weapon that the scientists have now stolen. Lucy gets to the observatory. They let her in. Introduces her to Moldover. They go through a whole spiel of talking and like, oh, your father, see the father and everything like that. It takes the injection that the scientist did to himself earlier, reversed that, took out what was inside the head, and it was like a little pill that was a source of cold fusion, if I'm not mistaken, which would power up the whole city. So now the machine is running through its process to warm up cold fusion. At the same time, here comes Brotherhood. Oh, and we also find out Lucy's mom, because that's how the Raiders got into 32 from her pit boy. We find out from Norm. Lucy's mom is sitting right there at the table. And what's at the table? A feral ghoul. But the ghoul is wearing the necklace of Lucy's mom.
Right. And here's a big spoiler for you, Chris. Sorry, man.
There you go. That's all right.
Put it on mute if you don't want to hear it. What we find out in this scene, because when she walks in there, Moldover's having dinner, and of course the villain hero antagonist is always having a giant banquet sitting at a table every time you walk into the scene on him. Yeah. So she's eating dinner. It's not even night. She's just eating it. The ghoul is next to her, who's Lucy's mom, and her dad is in like a giant bird cage. And so what we find out is that the dad, we find out that the mom, Lucy's mom, found out that water was being siphoned from their vault. And so she said, well, if water's being siphoned from the vault, maybe that means people are actually alive on the surface. And much like her son, she starts pulling at the thread. She discovers people are alive on the surface. The surface can be inhabitable. She takes Lucy and her little brother to the surface and they run away.
Yes.
And where they end up is at Moldover's place, Shady Sands, which is a utopia at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
The dad, Hank, being from the past, knows Moldover, right? And knows that Moldover is someone who's been trying to undo their company since before they dropped the bomb on everybody. So he goes to Shady Sands and basically like, listen, give my wife back, give my kids back. They say no. He manages to take the kids back, and the kids are young enough where they don't really remember any of this. All they remember is being with the mom, and there's a projector, and they think they're somewhere. They didn't realize they were actually on the surface experiencing this. But they talk about how the sun was so vibrant, but they thought it was a projector. And so what the dad does is he drops another series of nukes on Shady Sands.
Yeah.
And this is why Lucy's confused the whole time where she's dealing with Maximus, because she's like, the nuclear bombs were dropped 200 years ago. And Maximus is like, no, I lived through it as a kid. I was in Shady Sands. I survived because I was inside of a refrigerator. And so there was always this disconnect. And now we're finding out that her dad was probably responsible for the first rounds of nuclear bombs and is definitely responsible for the last round of nuclear bombs. And Lucy knows this now. So she's looking at her mom, who's basically a zombie, and she's looking at her dad, who's responsible for all this stuff. And she's looking at the woman who's, an antagonist, but behind the truth. And this is when the Brotherhood kind of comes in with like 7 Harrier jets and a whole trove of like mech armored soldiers to take over the place to get the cold fusion reactor thing from them.
Yeah. So they're coming in, and they're coming in hot, but of course they got surface to air defenses. They got people with rocket launchers. They're trying to pick off some of the carriers, but good number of them make it to the ground. Troops come out, mech soldiers come out. But the problem this is my problem with this. The power armor suits are OP powerful for the most part, right? Like, how are they just regular people just taking them down? Like, I had an issue with that. It was almost like
it's like it's cool when the ghoul says, you know, I used to rock the T-45 and they had a little problem with them, and I complained about it. I'm wondering if they fixed it, and then he shoots the guy right under the abdomen, and the whole suit, you know, the dude's gone. And he's like, I guess they never listened, and so I'm like, okay, cool. I got that. There can be something like that, but everybody's just like knife cutting the throats and stuff, and it's like
yeah.
these are whack.
They downplayed the power of these suits. Like I would imagine a whole army of power armor suits, like a whole platoon of power armor suits coming through. They're going to wipe out that whole settlement right there.
Yeah.
But they
Well,
were,
they pretty much do, but it's not, and they also kind of don't. It's like the
yeah,
second wave of them does, and that's because everyone was either decimated at that point or left.
right. So we get there, and the ghoul is there. He just like where he goes through the speech of the whole, monologue of the whole uh, defects or flaws within the last suits, and he imagined if they had fixed them and blah blah blah. So he ends up shooting exactly in the weak spots, and he has there was some other ones where he didn't actually shoot him. He just like one he popped a grenade in his like in between his like chest and shoulder.
And that's another example where I'm like, are these suits like good suits or not good suits?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know. I mean, if you get real fit, like, because no one's really throwing a grenade at you. Well, also they were susceptible to grenade blasts because pieces of your armor would get messed up, and you have to
Yeah,
go
but
back and
also
repair.
look, Bull did the suit in his first altercation in the first or second episode. I guess it was the second episode. He just cuts one cord and the thing can't even function anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I listen. It's you get a little more technical with everything when you know outside of video game realms. You can actually articulate blades into certain places, right? So the ghoul ends up knocking out pretty much most of the suits.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, Maximus gets in there and in his suit, but he gets knocked out.
because Hank at this point Lucy. So what happens is Hank. I'm sorry. What happens is Maximus finds Lucy,
Right.
and Lucy has not let her father out because
Mhm.
her father's kind of a horrible person.
Yeah.
But Maximus doesn't know this. So when Maximus walks in and Hank's like, "Hey, I'm Lucy's dad. Let me out." He shoots the lock off the cage and Hank is free. Hank goes and finds a discarded mech suit from a guy whose head got blown off. So he's walking around in a mech suit now. And then he, knocks Maximus
Very
out.
cool.
And then basically what happens is he's trying to get Lucy to, see his side, but that's not happening. And the ghoul walks in, and then they have a whole big monologue about exploiting who Hank is and what he's had, and you get more of that backstory. And then Hank basically bounces. He
Yeah.
jumps in his little Mario mech suit and it flies off into the desert sunset.
Mario
And
mech suit.
well, it's kind of what's going on. And then the lady Moldover at that point, she hits at some point around that point, she hits the button that sets the cold fusion off, turning on the entire city, all the electricity in the city. And then
Right.
she dies because she was shot. And so she's 200 something years old. She's gone now. And then what happens is the ghoul walks in, basically sees everything that's happening, talks to Lucy for a moment and says, well, actually, I'm sorry. Before Hank runs off, him and the ghoul have a moment where he basically says, "Where's my family?"
Mm.
He's asking
Yeah.
Hank, right? Because his wife knew Hank 200 something years ago. His wife was about as high up the food chain as you could go with getting into one of the good vaults. And so he wants to know where his family is, which is odd because you're pretty confident him and his daughter should have been like nuclear waste watching
Yeah.
5 bombs drop right in front of them. But now we're thinking, well, maybe the daughter's alive and clearly the wife is somewhere. So does the guy want to be reunited with his family, or does he have beef with his wife for making bad decisions on humanity? Who knows? But he wants those answers. And so he lets Hank escape.
Mm.
Hank is terrified and runs off from the ghoul. And Lucy's basically like, "Why'd you let him go?" And he goes, "Because a stuck pig is easier to track, and he's going to lead me to the person who has the actual answers. Where's my
Yes.
family?" And he goes, "Listen, Lucy, you want to come with me? You want to get to the bottom of this? You want to seek out the truth? Let's go." And Lucy picks up a gun, and you're like, okay, we know she's not going to shoot him, but it's set up in a way where, like, is she going to shoot him in the back of the head? But no, she shoots her mom instead because she can't let her mom survive another second as a mindless zombie ghoul thing. And so then, Coop's like, all right, well, are we going to do this or not? And they ride off into the proverbial sunset. And where they end up is in Las Vegas.
Yeah, you see Hank trekking through the wasteland, and then he comes to a stop, and then it pans him facing the city, goes up, and then what we got? We got New Vegas. Yes.
Right.
And that's where we left off.
That's the
And
end of the
that's the
season.
end.
You got any questions, Chris?
No, I muted you guys a lot towards the end. Not gonna lie.
Smart.
Okay.
That's good.
I did.
That's it. I mean, besides the usual stuff that I was expecting, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed the show.
And I'm definitely, I mean, Walton was captivating the entire way through. I like his character. I'm actually interested to see what happens to Maximus now that and they gave him credit for Moldover's death and taking over the whole village. So he is going to officially be knighted to run. And the head cleric guy said, "Let's build a utopia, you and I." And so we know he's going to be put in an extreme position of power moving into the second season, but he's morally, he actually seems to have some kind of morals.
Yeah. Because he wants peace and everything. He wants peace throughout the wasteland, but also he kind of wants that soft life. He got a taste of that watching that TV screen with the popcorn and that caviar.
Yeah, and he's been kissed a couple times.
He's been kissed a couple times. He's been touched a little bit.
And also, Lucy said, "When all of this is done, let's move back into my vault together and have that soft life." And so he's been propositioned for something a little less violent, and he's interested in it. All right, so that's the content. I guess. Do we want to rank this?
Want to rank? Yeah, we can rank it. I'll give it a solid 8. Solid 8. 8 out of 10.
That's high praise from Rich.
Listen,
it's good content.
Again, outside of some of the new age woke stuff that you're going to get, like I'm just used to what we're going to get in this content now. Other than little bits of that, they did Fallout justice, in my opinion. I mean, this like again, there's a speculation, there's a whole thing with the Shady Sands, and when they got bombed, and there's like a confliction with New Vegas and stuff like that. But I'm like, outside of that, I had no problem with the show.
The thing about the gender awareness, right, is it didn't take away from the content, but it also didn't enhance the content. If anything, it felt a little out of place for the content because I don't think these characters care about anybody enough to be conscious or considerate.
They got a lot more important things to worry about.
Care about surviving. That's
it. And that's the only reason why I feel like you got mutants and ghouls and monster creatures running around. I don't think anybody cares about your sexual orientation or lack thereof, or this way or that way or what's going on. I just don't think anyone has time for you.
Like Titus said, not to cut you off, but like Titus said, when you go out into the waste, everything's trying to kill you. Like it doesn't stop.
And so that's the only part where I'm like, it didn't enhance the content. It didn't take away from the content. I just I don't think the characters actually would care enough to be considerate of it.
I mean, I'm very much like in my actual life. As long as you're not trying to shove it down my throat,
Yeah, Bash.
I can care less. You can call yourself a cheeseburger if you want to, as long as you're not trying to be like, hey, you recognize me as a cheeseburger? I'm like, listen, man.
but I'll tell you, man, I really liked the Dane character. I think cool actor, good casting, and an interesting role. I just don't think the characters around it would have cared one way or the other. That's all.
But yeah, it was good stuff. Jack,
Right.
what do you give it?
I don't know. I guess I'd have to give it for television content, I'd give it a 7.5. I think it's pretty fair.
7.5. All right.
It's good. It's good content. It's not like Invincible. It wasn't Blue Eye Samurai compelling. It's not The Last of Us, but it's good, enjoyable, fun. I'm definitely coming back for season 2.
Yeah.
The acting was good. Walton's killing it. The rest of the cast worked for me. And the story's good, man. Fallout's good.
Yeah. Chris,
no, you didn't.
I'm gonna abstain from voting, but I'll give you guys a vote next week. I'll give you guys a rating next week.
All right.
So
Listen, like I said, this thing was so good, it made me re-download, or not even re-download, update my 76 so I can get back.
I'm gonna go back and play Fallout 4. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So I needed that hit of the Wasteland in my power armor.
Mommy's playing it now. Viv is playing it right now. In fact.
All right.
She's not watching us?
No, she might have us on in the background. She does.
Travesty.
That's good. Bash, are you showing us something or what's going on, man?
What you got for us, Bash?
It's from a little bit of history.
Okay.
The guns I have.
Okay.
I got a musket.
Nice.
Where'd you get that musket?
At the Alamo.
At the Alamo.
At the Alamo?
Yeah.
Does it fire BBs?
Yeah, caps.
Caps.
Okay, good.
But I don't have just the musket.
Shoot your eye out, kid.
I also have the flintlock.
You got the flintlock?
The flintlock.
Okay. Oh, the flintlock. Okay. All right.
They're the same. Oh my
God! That's good.
Did you have to put that in?
He had
to put that in.
You pulled out the footlong.
Yeah. All right. We got recommendations?
Sure. So we talk about retrofuturism. No. It's okay.
Recommendations.
What is that?
That's his mic.
What that says the mic.
Thank you, Bashy. So I'm talking about retrofuturism. So we went down a rabbit hole when I zoned out and try to still stay engaged but not pay attention too much because I really like this content. Something you should check out. Number 1 is Demolition Man from 1993. Great. Not as retrofuturistic as the 50s, but you still get a lot of retrofuturism from back then. Number 2, Running Man from 1987.
Oh, Running Man.
Yeah. And number 3, the original. Shoot, I just lost my thing. Oh, Sky Captain: The World of Tomorrow, which is very. I don't know if you ever saw it, but it's very, very a lot like this. Very, very, very retro. Like what they would have envisioned the future as, back in the 50s.
Who are you pointing that at, Bash?
Yeah, he just pointed.
What?
Your gun.
Who are you pointing that at? It's not nice to point guns at screens.
And the last one is the original Blade Runner. So kind of the idea of what the future would have been like from years ago, which is kind of a cool. It's kind of a cool aesthetic, but nothing beats the 50s retro future. It's really, really cool. That's what I think Fallout really captured this.
Well, steampunk is, retro's 50s future is interesting. Steampunk's kind of where it's at. Cyberpunk's interesting too now,
Yeah.
Yeah,
steampunk's pretty. You got a bunch of steam and cogs and everything. Like that. It's real. Futuristic.
I like. Yeah, steampunk is cool, but I mean, for that you can say Wild Wild West, something like that, where you can see steampunk and it's.
Are we talking about Wild Wild West?
Wild Wild West.
Well, ETC says he was talking to us on Facebook, asking about which of the Death and Return Supermans to get. or the Dark Knight Superman, and I think he's probably talking to Lawrence. But what's funny about that is we tend to all get pulled into the chat eventually, so that question got hit to everyone, and we kind of all unanimously were like, Steel is definitely. I'm covering him up. He's right behind my head. Steel is definitely the better of all these figures.
So this Steel is different than the Steel. There's a Steel in Target now where the colors are muted and the cape is muted. The cape is like gray or dark blue versus the red cape. So there's another version of the Steel that's out.
Well, I highly advise doing what I did and put a silver wash over that guy. You put a slight silver wash over him, and he really pops.
And then I made the new hammers for Steel.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
ETC, are you in Denton? Are you the one that was in Denton?
Are you gonna send him a hammer?
Yeah, I'll just give you a hammer. I printed a bunch of them. So if you buy Steel ETC, I'll give you. If you're in Denton, you're not that far. I'll throw.
So ETC, hit us up on like one of the private group chats, and you definitely want an upgraded hammer. And if Chris is able to send you one, get one, because that figure needs a proper hammer.
Oh, you're an Anchorage. Yeah, even if you're an Anchorage, don't worry about it. Send me I got one.
You're in Alaska?
Alaska, look at that.
Shoot.
No, I'm planning on maybe going to Alaska in May.
ETC, send us a private message on on Messenger, on Facebook Messenger with your address. I'll send you buy Steel. I'll send you a hammer. I got hammers printed out because I ran a bunch of them. I got two sizes. I ran a small size and then a bigger size. So
look at that.
Yeah,
nice.
And I just dropped it and broke it. Well, you're not getting that one because I just broke that one.
The bigger
Oh.
All right. I mean, listen. Originally from Oregon. Okay.
Be my end. Same bat time. Same bat time. Oops.
Not yet. Hold on. Not yet. Hold on. First of all, I'd like to thank all of y'all for sticking it out with us. I know this is a long one. There's a lot to talk about. Full 8 episodes of this. But for the 6 of y'all that have stuck it out, and we greatly appreciate you. Do us a favor, like, comment, subscribe, and Bashy, we'll hit you again. Same bad time.
Same bad channel. Where's bombing?
Oh, wait, what? We're bombing things? Let's not bomb things.
I think I just bombed it. Oops.
Goodbye. Goodbye, y'all.